When you're ready, and I'll start. I've already got the broadcast started, but no one else shows out.
Let's see. Discovery. Oh, deepfake's great. Expanse. And live on Twitch, everything looks good there. I actually changed the title this time, so we're not streaming Iron Harvest.
And we are live on YouTube this time. Oops.
All right. I believe I am ready. Star Trek Discovery bookends with That Hope Is You Part 2, and we have a lot to say about it. All of this and more tonight on The Real Super Geeks. We almost didn't do the enemy opener.
Welcome, and it is Friday, January 8th, 2021, or as I like to think of it, 2020 Part 2. And you're listening and seeing the Real Super Geeks. My name is Carlos Pedraza, and I am joined by my esteemed colleagues who will be chiming in with their wit and wisdom this week as we go through our final review of the final episode of Season 3 of Star Trek Discovery and a whole bunch of other news that we're going to cover as well. Let's start off by introducing my fellow hosts and seeing how they're doing on this very strange day / week / coup d'etat. We'll start with our stalwart producer, Justin Burton. Justin, how are you holding up this week?
All things considered, pretty good so far. Yeah, pretty good.
Excellent. Your microphone is sounding great this week, so glad
to hear
you.
Solve the audio issue. Me and Son spent a good hour last week trying to get everything all sorted. So hopefully now this is fixed.
It paid off, so we'll go to your your audio co-conspirator, and that is Sun Seals. Sun, how are you doing this week?
I'm preparing to take the computer back tomorrow.
Oh no!
So the computer actually turned out to be a lemon.
Oh, so good, actually, then, right?
Yeah, so we're having to take it back. Hopefully we'll get a replacement.
What brand of computer was it?
Oh, boy. So it's a CyberPower, so it's basically Asus pre-built to be sold in stores.
Oh, okay. Great.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, then let's go to our next
co-host.
What? Yes.
What is our normal routine?
Where are you?
Normally, yes. Oh, that's right. Where are you this week, Son?
It's the damnedest thing. It's the damnedest thing. I woke up on this weird little spaceship with this weird little engine.
Oh.
There's nobody else here, and yet somehow this spaceship seems to be talking to me.
Ooh. Well, don't go anywhere. I hear there's a big phallic symbol asteroid out there that's observing Earth, so you don't want to get in the way of that.
I wouldn't want to.
Okay, yeah, understandably. All right, well, let's go to our next co-host, and hailing from the great state of Utah is Jason Kovalik, a.k.a. Ensign Beard Fasse, also a.k.a. not Justin, despite my sometimes calling you Justin. Jason, how are you doing this week?
Every show.
Oh, I forgot to change my name this week.
Oh, you have a different name this week.
Yes.
Oh my god.
You are an
Why?
evil man. I just
Okay,
want to say that
I don't-
for the record.
I don't get it.
See, I don't get this.
Freedom. Freedom is worship word. You do not speak it.
Okay, so I don't get
Oh
this.
God, are
Batista.
we really doing this right now?
Yes.
Oh,
No.
wait, which one?
No.
Which
No.
one?
No.
Y Batista.
It's from that episode of
That episode is so stupid.
E Plebista, man.
That episode is so stupid.
These sacred words.
The Yangs and the Coms, man.
Stop it.
Yes.
There it is. There was.
You're lucky I can't shout it right now because I would totally do it. I don't care anymore. I don't care.
Wow, that is Angry Tea-Sipping Travis, and that's who we're going to go to next. Hailing from Golden, Colorado is Travis Linton. You may know him from Facebook as one of the admins of Facebook's largest Star Trek groups, and he is, of course, joined by his master, Lane, who we really like just a little bit more than Travis, but only because he's plush. If you were plush, Travis, you'd be right there with Lane.
Oh, I'm sure.
Just saying.
I'm absolutely sure.
So how are you this week, Travis?
I'm okay. Had therapy on Tuesday, and I just rambled a lot. And
Did
on
it feel
Monday,
good?
it did feel good just to kind of let things out. And on Monday, I actually finally received a very nice mug from my girlfriend's mother, custom. This is a piece of art from my girlfriend, actually.
Oh, wow. That's very romantical.
It's very romantical. We love each other, and I love her art, and choo-choo, y'all.
And you're wearing your choo-choo shirt. This is a big day. This is a big day. For me, anyway. Okay, well, next on our docket is, well, you've already heard his mellifluous voice, but you need to know that we know him as the Eyebrows of Doom, Ross Bullock. Ross, how are you doing this week?
Well, as soon as I can be seen.
Hello, Elaine.
We need to see Ross.
There we go.
There you go.
Gotta give him a wiggle.
there's the Eyebrows of Doom.
I am doing outstanding, despite recent events. As I'll get into during what are we watching? AGDQ. This is this week, and it has been my week, and I will go into details later on.
Okay, well, I look forward to hearing that. And last but not least, our guest panelist. He joined us for the first time a few weeks ago, and we decided we liked having him to kick around a little bit. So, welcome back, Greg. And where? Actually, I don't know where you're hailing from. Where are you hailing from? Asgard, because you've got Mjolnir.
Southern New Mexico.
My roommate's from New Mexico.
Out of El Paso.
Your Orville model is bigger than your Enterprise model. I'm just pointing that out.
That's what she said.
Yeah, funny story. I got.
It'll be one of those shows, is it?
It could be. It could be.
That is bigger on the inside.
I don't have enough tea for this.
You can always
Just
make
gonna
more.
say, all of us had a very hard week, so I need for
It's been a rough week, and I have my quarter bottle of Romulan ale left for this. So,
Well, there you go. But let us see who made it for you. Let us see the label.
oh, the label.
There you go, from his private stock.
That's just a loaded thing this week.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is
Too
loaded.
much,
That is
too
a
much.
loaded letter this week. That's for sure.
Too much.
Okay,
It's,
okay, so let's dive in now that we've said hello to everybody. This was a big week as we got, at long last, the 13th and final episode of Season 3 of Star Trek Discovery. That Hope Is You, Part 2, book ending. Why are you saying boo? Oh, because it's the
I
last
did the
one.
last episode. For
Right.
How
Okay.
long?
And now we
more
got to go
shirt.
drink ourselves to death because there's just nothing for months now. Sadly.
Yeah.
But at
You
least we
guys-
do know that Season 4 is in production.
Yeah.
Amen to
You guys
that.
act like nothing existing has never happened before.
Though to be fair, I am far more excited for Lower Decks Season 2 right now. Like, full disclosure, like I am so happy that we saw like people like in their closets recording the lines for the next season. I'm excited for that.
Okay, well, we know you have a deep love for Brad Boimler, so
Hey, Brad
Brad-
Boimler's in Rampage.
Brad-
If you haven't seen it,
I haven't seen it.
yep.
I have not seen Rampage. No,
I'll have to check it out.
Well,
Jack Quaid. I know, like Jack Quaid is
he's in the
Hollywood
Boys.
royalty, isn't he? Because isn't
Yeah.
he the son of Dennis Quaid? Yeah.
And Meg
And
Ryan.
Goldie Hawn,
No, Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan. He looks like Meg Ryan. Look at him.
Really, Carlos? Really?
He is. He's Jack Quaid and Meg Ryan's son. You look this up. I am right about this, folks. Goldie Hawn. Goldie Hawn is married to, had children with what's his face.
So wait, this guy is the son of the guy who started the reactor?
Oh,
Oh, you're right. He is the son of Meg Ryan.
Yeah. He
And
looks
that's the
like Meg
show,
Ryan.
everybody.
Okay, so let's dive into That Hope Is You Part 2. And lots happening. We wrap up the Osira of the Emerald Chain storyline this week. We'll find out how satisfying a conclusion that was for you all.
Hey, Carlos,
Yes.
before we go any farther,
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Thank you for remembering that.
There we go.
Yes, we're going deep into spoiler territory, so bear with us, or actually don't bear with us. Go watch the show and then come back and watch us. Okay, so lots happened in this, concluding the season, but also setting up next season, and we'll see what you all think of what that might look like. So let's go round the table and get everyone's general highlights, lowlights for the episode, and we will start with our guest, Greg. Greg, what did you think? You know what?
Oh
I'm
my
starting
god,
with
it was
you, of
such a
course.
letdown. The entire show was. The show was a letdown for me. I mean, it was built up to a great season finale. I was watching it, and I was just. The whole show was a low point for me. It was too predictable that, okay, Michael's captain, Silver's leaving. Nobody died except Osira. It was just anticlimactic at that point. And then her catchphrase, they gave her the catchphrase. They didn't give her the catchphrase, they gave her the catchphrase.
That
Hers
was
is, "Let's
intentional.
fly."
That was "Let's Fly," which is, I think, a pretty good catchphrase. But we'll see what other people think of the new catchphrase. Let's go next to. I'm still going to call you Ensign Beard Facet, goddammit. Go ahead, Jason.
Honestly, I thought he was going to call himself Via Getty.
Oh God.
This was the best season of Star Trek I think produced so far. And this season
What?
finale. Huh?
That's what he said.
Yeah, I think this was the best season of Star Trek produced. I mean, I think in a lot of ways it exceeds, because it's trunicated, it exceeds Deep Space Nine in a lot of ways, because Deep Space Nine, I think their seasons were just way too long to be able to keep me really engaged through, 3 22 season episodes of the war. I'm glad that Osira is gone. She was an interesting villain. But I think that, we could just play her out forever and never and ever. And overall, I was deeply satisfied with the emotional conclusion of the story. The only criticism I have for this particular episode was the cuts were really frustrating me. And what I mean by that is we would go from being a lot of action and a lot of adrenaline of the Discovery scenes, and we would flip over to the Sukhal scenes, and those would slow way down. And so I was my heart rate would go up, and then it would come down, and it would go up, and then it would come down. And so it was, I would have liked to have seen that first scene, then have them show all of what happened on Discovery leading up right up until them blowing up the warp core, then switch back to the Sukai story until the very end. I think that would have been a better cut. That would have made me feel less angsty through the episode. But overall, I thought it was one of the best seasons and one of the best season finales in Trek.
All right. Let's go to. I always love hearing Sun's opinions. So, Sun, you're next.
Did anybody else think it was weird them fighting on the Great Glass Elevator from Willy Wonka? That's what it felt like.
Oh my God! You did it! You did it!
I mean, that's what it felt like. I mean, remember when we were talking about the detached nacelles and everything? And one of the things that I brought up was, hey, you guys remember that shuttle from Enterprise, the one that was bigger on the inside? Yeah, that tech is supposed to be from before now. Where is that? Well, there it is.
Now you know where it is. Cleverly concealed.
This episode was kind of all over the place in awesome and disappointing ways. And for the most part, I enjoyed the episode, but yeah, there were some places that I thought was really weird, and I think I'll get into that discussion once we actually talk about them.
Okay. All right. So satisfying, but some weird spots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Let's hear from Stalwart Justin.
Yeah, actually, I thought it was all right. You know, I would go into more detail later myself, but it was a bit. I don't know. At slow spots, I like Jason. It was. We went from action to the call scenes and kind of threw out of it there for a bit. So hopefully, yeah, I don't know. I'll go into more detail later on. But overall, it was a pretty good episode.
Okay, let's hear from Travis and Lane.
I will go ahead and say that as far as Discovery seasons are concerned, this is definitely the strongest for me. I enjoyed the episode just fine, though I will say that when it comes to the catchphrase of "Let's fly," I mean, I like it, but nothing will ever beat Warp Me or its warp time. Let's be clear about that. After that, it's hit it, but after that, it's like I have no idea how I rank it. Like those are the three I always go to. So the one thing that I personally just really didn't care about in this episode was the fact that I'm sure we're going to go into this, but I did not really care for the fact that they killed off Osira as they did. I really believe that the chain and Osira could have been very much further explored and fleshed out, and the fact that they are not going to be doing that right now, apparently, it just, I feel like it's a big lost opportunity for the show. And I mean, like, I'm excited for next season. I'm sure that they'll give us something to get invested in. Really wish that they would give us like a more lasting antagonistic force or antagonist. I'm not asking caught, but I mean, give us something, because again, the show really hasn't had a real hit of an antagonist since Lorca in season 1.
Maybe Q?
No,
Stop it.
You're not good at it, Carlos. I'm sorry.
I'm not good at it.
Cyber went from an arcing villain to villain of the week.
We can't have Q on this show. We have to save him for Picard season 2.
There you go.
Now you're just trying to make me sick. Okay, so let's hear next from the Eyebrows of Doom.
There was a lot to love about this episode. Like you guys, I was a little eyebrow raised about the turbo lifts, but I mean, just look at Star Trek V, where the shaft had 72 decks when we know the original Enterprise had more like, I think it was 13, 26.
It was
Sorry,
18,
I don't mean to interrupt. I will never understand this kind of criticism. Like, it looks too open. That's stuff that just doesn't bother me. I don't know what it is that gets under the skin of everybody else, apparently.
Well,
but
I think the volume of the open space is too much when you look at the image of Discovery. I think it just doesn't make sense. And I totally agree with the criticism, but the reality is that if I was being that nitpicky and I was like, those things pull me out of Star Trek, I'd hate it. So yeah.
Okay, Ross, you want to finish up your?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would.
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to
That's right.
interrupt. I'm
So that's
sorry.
what it feels like. So one thing I've noticed that the Discovery writers really love to do is bookend. Stuff they introduce in the first part of the season usually shows up in the end. And that happened with Navarre and the appearance of Trill and a few others. But the thing that struck me the most was Let's Fly. I believe that is a bookend to what Lorca said in episode 3 of season 1. What we're doing on Discovery is finding a new way to fly, and now Discovery can finally fly. They're free of war, they're free of the impending doom of control and the uncertainty of a betrayed captain. They're in a completely new environment, a new galaxy to re-explore. I think this is a brand new frontier for Discovery, and I'm really interested to see where they go from here.
Yes, I think that's.
I'm also glad to see you reintroduced conflict. What happened with Stamets and Michael is definitely going to have repercussions going forward, and it's good to see that not everything is hunky dory.
Yeah, that was well. We'll get into that in a second, but that's a good observation. Let's see. I think we got everyone. Yes.
Yep, we did.
Great. Okay, so let's start our discussion kind of high level. The theme for the season and the theme that we had maybe a little hammered home in this episode. I'll leave it to you to tell me if it's too much or not enough. Was the idea of connection, of connectedness. We saw it reflected in both the A and the B plots in this episode, and it's said explicitly by a number of the characters in this episode, and actually is even sort of what the Federation is all about. Creating connections amongst planets to in common cause, and so we saw some of that start to happen. The other big theme is the idea of the symbol of the Federation and how, in some ways, Discovery's appearance was able to rekindle the inspirational aspect of what the Federation once was. Was that successful? Were you inspired? What did you think of the theme of connectedness? Who'd like to start? That sounded like a baby. I'm going to just ask Beard Fassé. Sorry, Cloud William.
This has been a really tough year for all of us. I mean, we've never had this kind of. We live in a very connected age. But even with all of our connections over the last couple decades, it feels like those connections have slipped and become more digital. And as they've become more digital, they've become less real in a lot of sense. They've become very shallow, and they become just different. And then to top off 2020, where we had no connections physically with friends, and we couldn't hug people who weren't in our home, and we couldn't shake hands, and we couldn't high five, and we couldn't celebrate birthdays, and we couldn't celebrate marriages and funerals. And so the message of connection resonated really hard with me, especially given the events of Wednesday. And so I maybe my thoughts on the episode are kind of colored by the what I've been feeling emotionally, but it really resonated really well with me. And again, I think the idea that this has probably been the most timely season of Star Trek ever produced in terms of addressing the current political or social climate of the country or the world, and it resonated really strongly with me.
Indeed. How about for you, Greg? Did any of these you were disappointed, I know, by the episode, but did any of the ideas land for you?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, the episode was like the episode, it was but like near the end of Terra Firma Part 2, where we see Giorgio come around and everybody's accepted her. Like I said, that connectivity is basically they got past all those differences, and it was Trek. You know, hey, we're in this together. We can get through this. So when they finally accepted Giorgio as part of the family on Disco, that's when I knew. I was like, you know what? That's where it kind of got me. And it went on to Call, which was really good. And then, of course, there's a Tide. So it's like including everybody in every aspect was where they really succeeded in this part.
Okay, and let's see. Travis, what do you have to say about the ideas behind this show, this episode?
Probably a lot of what Jason had to say. The very end of this episode, they show a quote from Gene Roddenberry about how we are always trying to communicate with people, and we are very fortunate if we even communicate with just two people. And it's really hitting me hard right now because, I mean, those of you who know enough about my personal life, you guys know that I'm in a long distance relationship and my girlfriend lives in Canada. She lives in St. John, and not being able to visit her right now due to the pandemic and the border closure right now has taken a very heavy toll on us. There's only so much we can do as far as communicating digitally and video chatting. It's just like, it's not the same. It really is not the same as being able to see each other right in front of each other. Sorry, I stuttered there. But like, just it, like, yeah. I mean, I really can't add too much to what Jason said as far as like the state of the like just the political and social state of our nation right now in the world, and just sorry, I'm kind of tripping over my words. I think the
ideas landed with you, is what you're saying.
It has very much landed with me, and it's still very much sitting with me. Even in the digital age right now, which is just like, I've been feeling a very disconnected from a lot of people right now, and I'm doing my best to kind of rectify that. And so, yeah, that ending quote really it hit hard for me. So, cheers.
Right. No, that was great, and thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that quote. And I've got it here.
Put it up again, Justin.
I mean, you know, after the events of this week, this just hit home. I think for so many of us. And I mean, you know, it's like they added it in at the last minute. But even if they didn't, I mean, you know, this resonated so well. And we couldn't ask for a better end to the season. Yeah, I mean, this season had its high and low points, but I think Elaine said it best. You know, she had been thinking lately, why isn't Star Trek providing current social commentary? Well, you know, it has, if you really think of it. Picard did it, and Discovery's doing it in the way too. So, I mean, you know, they still do the same thing that Star Trek has been doing. You know, they're just doing it in a new way.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and thank you, Elaine, for your thoughts on that. You know, this was written and produced before the pandemic, so it's interesting that in some ways it's not just a comment on what is going on in the world today, but it also is kind of a prescient commentary on what we're going through. But you know, the idea of connectedness is a universal theme. You know, it goes back as far as Gene Roddenberry. And certainly we're seeing the need for it and the desire for it play out in the real world right now in what we're going through. So yeah, I think it landed really well. I think for me, the literal bookend with the what was his name? The guy on that way station or space station who's dutifully waking up every morning, and he was being the Federation. Jahil, was it?
Sahil.
Sahil. And seeing him and Burnham at the very end, I just I was choked up when in the first episode, or I guess it was episode 2, when we saw that, and I was again here because there was this sense of joy in that both of them had gone on their own journey and still ended up in the same place. And for Burnham, that's the story of this series. But for this man that she met and gave hope to, and we really were introduced to this idea that is the mission of Discovery. That is the mission of these people, having come from the century they did, which was a century of hope and exploration and exploring new frontiers, and that became, is now their mission again in this new and challenging galaxy. I thought was really timely, and I thought it came across well in terms of all of the characters that we saw in this episode. Let's see, who haven't we heard from?
Ross.
Eyebrows of Doom. Yes.
Yes. Well, like Travis, the themes of the finale definitely hit me pretty hard as well. And I would like to take issue with what Jason said, that digital connections aren't as real as physical ones, because as we've talked about before, we lost George this time last year, and I felt that just as keenly as any other friendship that I've had. It is true that some connections do feel less real, but they can feel just as real at the same time. And with that in mind, with the events of Wednesday, and just the steady breakdown of communication between people in general, the constant refrain of, oh, if you believe this, unfollow me, unfriend me, get the hell off my page, that sort of thing always struck me as counterintuitive and self-defeating. If we isolate each other, if we demonize each other, if we stop talking to each other, we start making assumptions about each other. It becomes easier to demonize each other, and before long, we're looking at strangers on the road wondering if they're the enemy or not. So
yeah, and sometimes they have the same face as you, so it's hard to know.
This brought me a measure of hope that I really needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know for on my part, it really started to get me thinking, particularly given the breaching of the U.S. Capitol this week, that you all have alluded to as well. What is it? What are the voyages we need to be going on in our own communities, in our own country, to explore? I mean, to make connections with people, because I think you're absolutely right, Ross. Sort of sitting back in our own little bubbles is not going to help. It's making things worse, unfortunately. And I think that I also agree with you that it's not, having to do things these days now by video and so forth may feel less authentic, but it just means we have to work harder at those kinds of relationships. And we have, because so many things in society have ground to a standstill, we may have some time to do some outreach or figure out ways to make connections, but definitely it's something that I think we could all benefit from, for sure. Okay, so I think we have gotten everyone's thoughts on that. So let's talk a little bit about Michael Burnham herself, because she's the protagonist of the show, and her own journey, we've seen pretty clearly demarcated episode by episode, and sort of summed up even by the Admiral when he offers her the captaincy of Discovery. How did her journey resolve for you all? Did it feel like it was authentic? That the Burnham that we saw in the first couple of episodes, who was, oh my, I've changed so much, and I know you had a particular issue with that, Jason. Did did it unwind? Did it develop in a way that felt satisfying to you? We'll start with you, Jason.
Well, I thought that I don't think they needed to do with all that. I still think that was just a bit over dramatized at the beginning of the season. They could have she could have shown it, not necessarily told it in ways that would have been, I think, more powerful to the character. What I liked is that the tail end of the season, in a lot of ways, bookends. Again, we talked a lot about bookends. The beginning of the series, right? So when we were visiting the Guardian planet, we had a lot of the sweeping vistas and big views that we had in the very first episode.
The tracks in the snow versus the tracks in the
snow versus
sand.
the tracks in the sand. And in that moment, in the tracks in the sand moment, Giorgio tells Burnham that she's ready for command. And of course, we see events that kind of unfold that kind of demonstrate that she doesn't. And then we get to this point in this season where basically Giorgio tells her the same thing. You're ready to be captain. I think they're trying to flesh out a character, and they're kind of giving the next captain their origin story, and I think that's been really good. I think that we're going to see really good things in next season, and I think I just wish they would have done more showing and a little less telling.
And when you say that, are you pointing more towards the first half of the season than the second half, or do you think that's
in the first half? Yeah, I mean,
okay.
The one thing I think that, with only being 13 seasons, if they had taken this to a 15 or 16 episode season, they could have shown an episode of her just being a courier and showing and having that life unravel and show that. And then, we could have had a couple of episodes of Discovery just being a Federation starship, delivering hope, and could have helped develop along those lines. Her going from first officer one episode and then to not being first officer the next episode, the promotion, 13 episodes. The promotion would have been, that whole transition would have been more meaningful if we saw her in that role longer. If that makes sense. I just think they could have done something.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think 15 episodes in this season, and we had 15 in season 1, right?
Yep.
I think the pacing of that development certainly would have improved with that, and I think it would have created a better world for us to understand sort of the level of despair in this new universe, this new galaxy that they're trying to be the beacon of hope for. So I totally agree with you on that one. Other thoughts? Greg, you did not like this episode. You felt it was a bit of a letdown. Was it around Michael Burnham?
I'm kind of agreeing with Jason. They could have done better with her getting to captain. It's kind of not so much a slap in the face to Tilly because she's an ensign. She was acting first officer, but she did do a semi-good job. She showed that Tilly could handle command. And of course, Tilly's last command as acting captain is to tell Burnham, hey, by the way, you're in charge. That's an order. For the Admiral to come around like that and to say, hey, Burnham, we're promoting you to captain, it's kind of like, we were kind of hoping for you to be a little bit of a villain. But
really? I actually was glad that he didn't turn out to be a badmiral.
That was one of the best parts of the season.
I was hoping he would. I was hoping he would be like. I was hoping he would be an Admiral Netchaev. That's what I was hoping for.
Okay.
But he was,
not so much a badmiral, but the one
yeah,
that's
he
just going to.
was.
Kind of was.
He was,
He was at first.
well-intentioned, but also kind of crabby and cynical. I thought the way he dealt with that when he was talking to Osira in the last episode, when he said, that
was great.
he has to work really hard to retain his moral center in this galaxy, and with so little resources and so much need. I thought that landed really well, and I think I agree with you. I liked Admiral Nechayev in TNG, and we didn't get to see enough of her, unfortunately. I got to write Admiral Nechayev in Star Trek: Hidden Frontier, and we explored that quite a bit with that character. She was one of the favorite characters on that show, because we sort of picked up with those themes and kind of were able to run with it over the course of 7 seasons. So I get where you're coming from for sure, but I feel
Right.
like this admiral, he did okay. He did pretty well, I
Yeah.
would say. Okay, other thoughts, Greg?
Overall, though, I mean, was anybody else glad they finally switched uniforms? I mean,
I spent
the whole season, like, they upgrade the ship and they upgrade all this. Like, change the uniform too.
no, I'm upset about that. I spent $300 on that stinking jacket, and now it's not the uniform.
It's still a great jacket, dude.
It is
It's
a jacket.
historical.
Jason, okay, so we have Jason to blame because Jason went out and bought the.
Jason's now lost 2 things.
Razor Crest.
Oh, that's right. I love how Justin had that graphic ready
Oh man.
for
Right.
Jason.
He had
buy
it
the
ready.
Razor Crest for his kids, and then the very next episode it gets destroyed, and they don't bring it back, and that's what makes this hilarious.
Schadenfreude.
What is that?
Well, he now has an entire
Why?
imperial cruiser full of small craft to choose from.
That's right. He's now the head dude. So, maybe there's another one out there. Okay, Greg, any last thoughts? What was disappointing for you?
As far as disappointing was no grudge.
Well, but she was.
I mean, yeah, we
that's
get
true.
folks saying she's a queen.
And we still don't know what the
She was
hell that
absent.
means.
I was like, we're not gonna get one last shot.
I know.
I
Exactly.
Grudge kicking ass or doing something. I mean, just doing something, Cat.
She could have scratched up one of the guys. I mean, she could have jumped on them and maimed them.
Yeah,
She was safely in her carrier on Book's wrecked ship.
Yeah. All right, Travis and Lane, how about you? How did Michael Burnham's development play out for you?
Honestly, I enjoyed it throughout the season. At the start of the season, I said that Michael Burnham felt like she was finally ready to become more of a lead character. I don't remember which one of you guys said it, but beforehand, Michael Burnham has always felt like a lead character that was more reactionary than someone who helped drive the story. And, well, I feel like she just kind of took off and she made the season happen in a lot of ways for me. I personally really enjoyed watching her develop. Was it the best? No. But I mean, to me, it was more than satisfactory. There were some standout episodes that I really felt really brought new life to her character, like Unification Part 3. There is a tide. She has grown. Yes, she repeated a lot of the mistakes that she made in seasons 1 and 2. But I feel like she's finally starting to learn. And I mean, no human being alive makes one mistake one time and learns right away. I mean, we will slip, and she does that, and it shows a very human side of herself, and I thought it was great. And look, I am all for I'm with Elaine. I am a little worried that Saru may be kind of going on the background here, but in terms of whether or not I believe that Michael Burnham is ready for the chair, I mean, I am more than curious to see where Discovery will go under her command. I am hoping for Captain Saru, but if someone were to ask me, do you think Michael Burnham right now deserves to be captain, I'd be like, yeah. To me, I feel.
Okay, great. All right, Son, how about you? Because I know that you go back and forth with Michael Burnham. So how did it finally end up for you?
I'm glad Michael Burnham's in the captain's chair. She won't be on every fucking away mission. Okay, so Travis, you were talking about someone saying, how Burnham was reactionary. Yeah, Burnham is best when she's reactionary, and that makes her being the captain the best thing for this show. Because she's reacting and giving orders instead of being in the middle of all the shit going on.
That's an interesting point, son. And I'll be interested in seeing how that plays out, because on one level, I completely agree with you that it may be a role that is better suited to the way she, deals with the world.
Yeah.
At the same time, being too far out of the action is not what I would want to see from Michael Burnham also. So,
well, did we not just see her turn into Commando Janeway?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what we had these 2 episodes.
Yeah.
That maneuver in sickbay was brilliant.
Oh, you know what? And I thought of that too. I was like,
she did die hard.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember they had those force fields in sickbay. They'd shown them, the past 2 seasons. It's like, God, that would be so cool. And then she did it. I was like, yes.
She delivered the Die Hard line this episode, and it was a line that Carlos could let go and wouldn't slit his wrists over. Up here, you son of a bitch.
It wasn't as good as Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, but
I liked the Kirk callback. The no wins, and she says, "I don't believe in those."
The no win scenario, yeah.
I thought that was a little forced, honestly.
Well, I don't know.
It was. I agree with Travis on that one.
Wait.
I liked it.
That was forced, but half the shit thrown out in lower decks wasn't.
That's a different show altogether.
No.
Different altogether. You can't compare an animated comedy to a serial.
They're both canon shows.
I'm not saying that Lower Decks isn't canon. I'm just saying the show is completely different to that of Discovery.
Travis,
it's true.
There's no such thing as a no-win scenario.
Knock it off.
Thank you, James T.
Actually, the correct line is you don't believe in no-win scenarios.
And I'm pretty sure her line was, I don't believe in no's.
I don't believe in those.
Those. Yeah.
Okay, because... I listened. I actually did watch the episode a second time this time, and both times I didn't hear a th sound. I heard a n sound.
I don't know. I thought I heard a th sound.
I'll watch again with subtitles.
Actually, I did watch it with subtitles, and it was those. Yeah, I tend to always watch it with subtitles because I like to see how they spell things. So, yeah.
Oh, by the way, can we finally say something here? For the first time, I think this entire season, they fucking closed the shuttle bay.
Right?
That actually is a pet peeve of mine as well. That thing is always open.
Close the shuttle bay. What the hell? Open all
Book's not going anywhere now.
You guys have the weirdest criticisms, I swear.
Oh, I think you have your own little things, Travis.
They're attached to
I mean,
shit,
we didn't write like 2 different opinion articles of the top 30 whatever the hell. So
I am proud of my lists, damn it.
No, your lists are fantastic. We talked about your top 30 antagonists last week, and that was a good discussion.
With your 20-paragraph long explanations. No, we're kidding.
Hey, I can write.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
I personally enjoyed how Jason lit into you for some of those, but
I enjoy a nice discussion, even if they're entirely wrong.
That's true. Good discussion is a good discussion. So let's talk a little bit about another aspect of now Captain Burnham. And that's one that Sonequa Martin Green and Michelle Paradise talked about in the Radio Room, and that's the whole idea of, she's the second, obviously, main character captain woman that we've seen in Star Trek, but the first one of woman of color. And they both talked rather emotionally about what message that sends to a lot of children, boys and girls, of all different races, but especially children who come from communities of color. And I agree. That was it's really good to see. It's good that they got to see the struggle she went through to become captain, as opposed to, like with Janeway, it was like plop, she was there. It was a given. You saw
like that for everybody.
Yeah, and even with Cisco, he started as a commander, but still he was the guy in charge, and he was kind of plopped there as well. So seeing seeing her really grapple with some of these things over the course of 3 years, I thought the payoff was pretty good. Other opinions?
Couldn't have said it better myself there, honestly.
Thank you.
Because
take bets until the fandom menace start calling it SJW pandering.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Like one of the things, like
Let's start with Greg and then Travis. Go ahead, Greg.
Okay. I had no issue. I don't have an issue with Burnham being captain. Like, I've had an issue with the character, but her being captain is perfectly fine with me. Ross said, is it the SJW? And it's like, she became captain through the means of, Cisco did the same thing. Yeah, he was in charge, but he was a commander, and 3 years later, he's promoted to captain. So Burnham, who was going to be ready for command in season 1, though, but had to fight tooth and nail, now she ends and it starts season 4 as a captain. So it's more or less it's kind of not so pandering as it is to say, hey, she's the captain now. I have to get over it, even though I don't like the character that much, but I can accept it. So it's just a matter of, people are just going to be like, hey, Trekkies are going to be like, hey, this is great for us. And while everyone else is like, okay, I don't know about this.
I want to come back to this thought when we start talking about what we think is going to happen in season 4. So hold your thoughts on that, Greg, because I want to talk about how you think, as a character, being captain, what that offers to Michael Burnham is to improve her character from where you sit. So we'll come back around to that. Travis, you were going to chime in here.
I was just going to say, kind of add on to you. I enjoy Catherine Janeway as a captain. I believe that she's a very significant and iconic figure in Star Trek history because she is the first woman captain that we follow. I mean, we'd seen Captain Rachel Garrett in The Next Generation and whatnot, but this was the first captain that we actually grew up with, if that makes some sense. And as much as I enjoy her, I'm showing that Voyager of love again. The fact is that the writers really didn't know what to do with her a lot of the time. She felt very much like a Picard light. She felt like she just I feel like a lot of people really like her because in a lot of ways she does remind them of Captain Picard, and well, everybody loves Picard because he's the Federation poster boy. I love Picard, but I mean, just the fact that we've seen Michael grow up through 3 seasons now to finally get this position, I do believe has much more impact. I'm not going to sit here and say she's going to be eons better than Janeway as a character, because I mean, I don't know. But I really I enjoy where the development is going with this. So that was really all I had to say.
All right, thank you. Ross, you were gonna did you want to finish up what you were saying?
I don't remember what I was saying.
Oh, well, we were talking about Michael Burnham. Was there any more you wanted to say about Michael Burnham?
Well, it's been a long road.
I
Well, seriously though, Michael's come a very long way. I think George fucking called it, of course. He said right at the end of the first season that she was eventually going to be captain. I didn't think so. I thought the idea of a show from the point of view, or at least with a protagonist being not the captain, would last a while longer. But I guess 4 seasons is long enough. Admittedly, it is where the character would end up. I'm a little apprehensive about the speed at which it happened. The insubordination earlier in the season I feel would have worked more against the case of making her captain so soon after the event, but it's where she is, and I'm interested to see where it goes from there.
I'm curious in raising that point, Ross, what the Admiral, how he explained his change of thinking towards Michael Burnham, if that felt like enough for you to explain, how he made the journey in terms of viewing her in a different way, because clearly, we saw earlier in the episode when she says, trust me. And he's like, I'm not sure I want to trust you. And in fact, when
he didn't want to, the way he aggressively closed the channel.
He bopped it out of the way. And I thought for sure that that's what happened too. But then you see that he actually did. So it's almost like that was the instant in which he thought of his daughter and how she was doing math with pictures instead of numbers, and realized,
I don't know about that. One of the most common tropes in Trek is someone who has been dishonored or illegitimized or busted down in one way or another, doing something extraordinary and being immediately redeemed and promoted for it. It happened to Kirk. It happened to Paris. It happened to so many other characters in Trek. So I guess it's Michael's turn. It happened to Kirk in Kelvin.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. I don't touch on that, Ross.
Go ahead, Greg.
When talking about how I was expecting, so I mean, how you guys said your friend George called that she was going to be promoted captain. I kind of figured that in season 1 too, that she was going to be captain. It's just a matter of when. Yeah. My thing was though, when Admiral Vance is promoting her, he didn't dress her down. Now I was expecting him to dress her down the way any admiral should have, but then come back with, "You've been brilliant in this situation. We would like you to be Captain Discovery," which he does say. But I was expecting that dressing down. To sit there and say, these are your flaws.
What was the dress down?
The insubordination, the way she acts.
He already had dressed her down for that.
But even then,
but to reiterate it,
she wasn't insubordinate to Saru. She went AWOL. Like that, there's a bit of a difference there. Like she didn't really work to undermine Saru's authority with the crew. When she just took action upon herself, independent of Saru.
She didn't undermine Saru's authority. She just literally abandoned her crew.
She did. He told her not to go. The admiral told her not to go. She disobeyed orders.
No. They didn't tell her not to go.
Yes, they did.
No, Saru didn't even take it to the admiral.
Sorry, right. She disobeyed Saru.
Yeah.
She disobeyed him. She disobeyed his order. She took off on her own.
Saru said, "We can't do this. We have to stay here in case we need to jump to here." He didn't tell her she couldn't go. She just took it on herself to go. And
her place is on the ship. If Saru said, "No, we can't do it," and she went and did it anyway, that's still disobeying orders. It's also abandoning your post.
Yeah, she went AWOL for sure.
That is
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that for sure.
And she got a very appropriate dressing down from the Admiral for it. One that I had a bit of a flashback to experiences I had myself.
Ooh, we need to hear those stories, Ross.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
We need to have those stories told to us on audio on Travis's MySpace page.
Don't look it up, folks at home.
But no, that kind of Commander Burnham. Tell me what I'm going to say. That sucks. That really sucks.
Yeah, usually you know what you did wrong.
Yeah, but it was a surprise to see that kind of glowing almost affection from the Admiral when he was asking her to take command. And I appreciate that she said that she didn't think she was ready and she needed time, and he said nope.
Yeah, not just time. She also wanted to wait for Saru to come back.
Yeah,
specifically, which and I want to talk about Saru once we finish up with Michael. So
To
Ross,
wrap
what do
up,
you wanna
I'm
say?
not
Yeah, go ahead.
upset by it. It feels a little off, but I can accept it.
Okay. Let's see.
It's less weird than Kirk going from cadet to captain.
Or from Kirk from being convicted of disobeying orders and just stealing the Enterprise and destroying it to being given command of a new ship.
He was being put in forceful retirements. That is my stance on it, and I'm going to preach it till the day I die.
He's being put in what?
He was being put in unofficial retirements. He and the rest of the crew were being put out to pasture in a place Starfleet could keep an eye on them, and they would never get into trouble again.
So much
Until
for
they
that.
sent him to pick up with Gorkin.
Yeah, it was supposed to be no big deal. Hey, look, Kirk's showing up. They'll back down. They're terrorists. They got nothing. They weren't expecting religious fanatics and Spock's fucking brother.
Oh, do we have to talk about him again?
Do we really gotta feel the pain?
It would be awesome. It would be awesome. It's a crossover series between Q and Cybok.
No,
No.
you're bad.
You're
No.
I'm so
Feel
with Travis
that
and Lane on this
idea,
one.
that idea is bad, and you should feel bad.
Plot twist.
There you go,
Cybok
Ross.
was actually granted the powers of
Jason's
Q.
Oh God, I hope not.
Oh, just so you know, she did say, "I don't believe in those."
Right. Okay. Thank you for
Okie
bringing
dokie.
that up. Okay. Other
So,
final thoughts on Justin? Did we get to you? Yeah, I want to talk about that scene. But first, let's. Justin, did you want to say something about where Michael ended up and how that worked for you?
well, I mean, we always knew the original premise of the show was to follow somebody, as they went through and became captain eventually, and that was the original
Yep.
premise of the show, Brian Singer, and they kind of stuck to that in a way. I mean, a little bit different, but I mean, we always knew she was going to be a captain eventually. I mean, does that mean she's going to stay captain next season? Yeah, it depends. I mean, we still got a question of what they're going to do with Saru. Is he going to come back?
Remember,
She
no captain of the Discovery stays captain for more than a season.
Here's
That's a good point.
what I'm saying.
Justin, you called it. Congratulations. You're George.
Here's what I'm going to say. She has to stay captain, or I think there will be a potentially justified outcry, considering her role as the first female woman of color captain. And I think that if she were to come out of captaincy, if she were to leave for whatever reason, it would be for kind of that independent streak that she has. And I think that'd be argued that she's playing into stereotype. I mean, I think this is a very unique tightrope that these writers have to walk, because if they're not careful, they'll get into a place where they can very easily be criticized for playing into stereotypes.
Well, I honestly don't think Saru will come back as captain. He will probably be an ambassador role, or maybe even a
Saru's going to be the captain of Voyager.
possible.
It could be, but how will we see him?
He's a Kelpian. He's a Kelpian. He's the only one in Starfleet right now that we know of. So he's going to have to play some type of role.
I still want to see this.
So he's going to be turned to a role like Neelix.
There you go.
Oh, please no.
Son,
go ahead.
I still want to see this century's Enterprise.
I mean, it's a.
If
I
it's
thought about
there.
that too. Well, I'm sure it's somewhere.
They got
It may have been blown up.
But they would have made another
They might
one.
be out patrolling the neutral zone.
Well, I mean, let's think about this for a minute. We're in an era of the Federation where certain things are scarce. They don't exactly have the materials to just, build a new fleet. The Enterprise might not be around right now.
Well, they
have the materials. It's called programmable matter and holographic
they do.
ships.
And they can
Well, I
grow.
think it would be interesting to see if, the Enterprise right now is just not around right now.
Well, it isn't around right now, so we don't.
No, I mean, as in,
there isn't one.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I think it might be kind
I
of.
feel like probably not. It's too.
The Enterprise would have to be, a symbol of hope, and considering, what's going on with that, what was going on with that version of the Federation, it might not be around right now. but I mean, it might be something we might see next season. I mean, that's the wonder of this show. They
Who knows? Maybe the Enterprise was docked up at whatever station that is that has the gelato.
That's a good.
That's
a good point.
We almost guarantee you it will be bigger on the inside.
Or, as the Enterprises want to do, it is out exploring strange new worlds, actually living up to the mandate of Starfleet.
Maybe, they could have been caught somewhere very far away, and getting back to Starfleet was not a tenable option. So, for sure.
No?
Okay, so let's talk.
That's a crazy theory for me.
Well, it's.
I mean, it could be a nice little.
No, I mean, like,
it's also off topic. It's really, this is not the Enterprise. It's not the show about the Enterprise. So
yes,
it kind of was in season 2.
It was, and that's why I don't think we'll see it again, other than in a cameo kind of role. Just because this is now.
Does anyone have to build yet another model?
Well, I am glad to say that at least one of George's theories will never come true. That we're not going to see a young Lieutenant Kirk on the show.
Yeah,
not this show.
No, not this show. No.
I really hope they don't do it on the other show.
Agreed.
They probably will.
They will at the end of
I'm
it.
telling you, it better be like just a one-off.
I told you the best way for them to do Kirk would be for them to do an entire mission with a lieutenant from the Farragut. Spock is, whatever, they're doing their thing, and then at the very end, he's like, Spock's like, "Oh, I didn't catch your name." It's like, "Oh, Lieutenant James Kirk."
Yeah, I think the best thing for them to do with Kirk in Strange New Worlds is to not have a Lieutenant Kirk. So,
if they do Lieutenant Kirk, it needs to be at the end of the show's run, as Pike's getting ready to leave, as it is in canon, and then they do the ship handoff. That's how they should do it. I mean,
I guess,
but that's the only way I will accept it.
It's a fan wanky thing, but it's the kind of thing I
Mark
wouldn't.
showing up in the middle of the season.
If you think about it, though, if they were to do that way, that'd be a really easy way to jump into new feature films featuring the Enterprise and Kirk and Spock,
or another series featuring Kirk and Spock.
I don't think they're going to do another Kirk and Spock series.
Why not?
That would be the third version.
Yeah.
No, fourth
it's been done in the 60s. It's been done in the films. We don't know if there's going to be a fourth one. So why continue to retread the same ground? Pike was unique because we've only seen him in a semi-canonical pilot and a bit in the Kelvin movies.
Because at the end of the day, I think I've said this before, Kirk is the most bankable character and the most known character in the franchise.
Totally disagree. Spock is. That's why you saw.
I disagree. I think that's Picard. It's Picard or Spock. It's Picard or Spock.
That's
there's a reason I do not like.
Well,
what's a better way to do the franchise?
I hear you about Spock, Carlos, but I mean, just talking to people like real world people that I'm around every day that aren't into science fiction. The original series cast is what people think of when they think of Star Trek. It just is.
Look, I still want to rescue 911 with Dr. McCoy, okay?
What's that?
You're right on that one, Jason, but it's also I talked to a lot of people who aren't fans of Star Trek either. Sorry, son. Not fans of Star Trek either, and you're right. They either name Spock or Picard. Those are the two most name dropped that I've come across.
Agreed. And just because he's the most known doesn't mean that he's the one most people want to see more of. He really isn't. I mean, Kirk's arc has long been completed.
Yeah, Kirk's history is all over the original series.
Like
he did.
There was that Screen Rant article that was posted.
He did.
like weeks ago.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, oh, how Discovery could fix how they're not mentioning Kirk and how they can fix this. And I was just like,
oh, that's right.
Kirk doesn't need to be front and center of every single show here. Like one of the worst moments for me in Voyager, there's that word again, comes from Icheb reading this essay to Janeway about Kirk, and it's the scene. Like I get what they're trying to do with the scene, but it comes across as just as like, hey, we love Kirk. We're gonna focus on Kirk, and it doesn't really feel natural to me, and it just feels forced, and it just feels like they're just.
Sounds a lot like Matt Smith writing Doctor Who.
I can't offer a comment there, but yeah, Kirk doesn't need to be front and center of everything. So
Kirk has had
he
9
already has
movies
been.
on the TV series. He's good.
Yeah.
Kirk is dead. Let it go.
And Ross is
Yeah,
not dead.
I don't think
He's
there's
in the
much.
revenge-
I don't think there's much more to learn there. Frankly, there was a lot to learn about Spock.
Kirk will never be dead so long as he remains in the Nexus.
That's right, and that's a
And
good
he'll always
place
see
for
the
him
Nexus,
to
because
be.
even if he leaves, he'll always have a Echo there.
He can't leave. He's already left. All that's left in the Nexus is the Echo.
The reason that Guinan was there is because she was forcefully pulled away.
Right.
No, the reason why Guinan was there was because once you're in the Nexus, you're always in the Nexus because it's
Right.
time.
I was talking about
But
generations.
the actual corporeal being that was in the Nexus left the Nexus, and what he encountered there was her shadow.
Did they leave the Nexus, or maybe all that just happened within the Nexus, and all the TNG movies that followed were actually just in the Nexus, and then that means Nemesis isn't canon.
Stop
It
it.
also means DS9, Voyager, and everything else post TNG isn't canon.
Stop it.
No.
Thank you.
Stop
What
it.
Justin said.
Stop
This
it.
is.
Hey, I was the guy that said it.
Stop it.
Yeah. I agree with Justin.
Justin, you're not good at it. You're not good at it.
I don't care. Stop it.
Okay, stop saying stop it. We're moving on. Okay.
I'm never saying that again.
So
Don't
let's
give them a challenge, man.
we're moving on, folks. So let's talk a little bit about where we think folks ended up. This is partly a Saru question, but also, the other characters and their development that we saw over the course of the season. Did they end up in the right place for themselves? And this applies to Saru too. So if you have Saru thoughts, this is a good place to insert them. Let's start with Sun.
How do I put this? Having Adira and Gray kind of be a thing in the ship hologram sets up some weird shit, but it also sets the stage for Gray to become an actual character later on.
No.
On that note, just to say, Crusher's no longer the only ghost fucker in Star Trek.
Is anybody else getting a voice?
Done.
Don't put up the graphic, Justin. We've seen it enough.
I'm done. Good night.
I am just. You guys are.
There it is. There it is.
Really?
I don't
Okay.
care anymore. Stop it. Stop it.
Okay. Continue with your thoughts, Son.
Who's that voice? So what's going on?
That's Travis growling.
Yeah, it's me growling. I'm angry tea sipping too.
Okay, so I thought it was really clever that Adira thought of
You lose Carlos?
maybe.
Yep, we lost him.
I think we did, but we're still rolling, so I'm going to keep rolling.
Keep going. Sorry to interrupt you.
So she pops those radiation pills like in her mouth. Cool. She shows up and she's got like bone earrings and stuff everywhere, and I'm like, what the fuck?
She's a Heian.
He's a Barzan.
And then we see Gray with the Vulcan ears, and I'm like, what? And then everybody else can see Gray. And it's like, okay, so the hologram can see Gray. How was the hologram even programmed to see Gray, to project Gray that way? Because if that exists, it should exist on Discovery, period, because Discovery would have shit like that everywhere already.
Right, but they didn't know to look. So it wasn't an issue of them not having the technology to do it. It was an issue of them not knowing that that was technology that would do it, and it hadn't occurred to anyone. Now we don't know the exact parameters of the programming for the Hollow, other than obviously it was programmed that if it detects a sentient being, it changes their appearance to something that that he would understand, because he had encountered him. So that made as much sense to me as anything else.
Hey, Carlos, sorry that the Cannon Ghost was so horrible and knocked you out of camera there.
Yeah, just the camera. I could still hear you guys. So.
Well, I just I don't.
Nope,
I have mixed feelings about it, honestly. I mean, I know there's that need to. I feel like I would be very offensive if I say this the way that I'm going to say it, because I don't say it right. But there is this need for a whole bunch of people in my community to have Gray be an actual character on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be a very vocal need to have Gray be an actual character on the show and be a physical being of a character. But I feel Gray being that character that isn't quite there is more impactful on the character of Adira than it is on anything else.
Well, certainly starting out, for sure. But, I think that's definitely a season 4 development thing. We'll see how well they're able to pull that off.
Well, I mean, I don't know if all of the stuff that happens right there at the end of Discovery is instant, but it seems like knowing that Gray could be projected via a hologram, if a hologram is set for those parameters, that's something they would have already been working on.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
No, because they didn't know if it was like all they knew was that Adira was seeing Gray. Right. They didn't know if that was a result of the biological, whatever with her being human being. So they didn't even understand it. They didn't even consider the possibility until they saw it was possible.
Yeah, it just wouldn't have occurred to them. Plus, up until that point, it wasn't a thing that most of the crew even knew about. Like, they weren't working on it.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. Like you have those end shots of Discovery having the parade back into the fucking force field of Starfleet, of all those ships.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that takes fucking time to set up.
Well, it clearly was time, because Saru's been away for a while. So yeah, there was time. That didn't happen right after the scene before.
And I don't know. Something in me thinks that finding that out, one of the first things they would have done, or at least Adira would have done, would have been starting to work on that.
Well, they did, because we see Gray at the end.
No, as far as I'm aware, we just still see Gray as the ghost.
Yeah.
They didn't make that very clear.
I'm not sure that was clear.
Here's the thing about that, though. That's a story thread that can easily be picked up for the next season.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was meant to do. That's the Enterprise showing up at the end of season 2. That's Discovery and Michael going through the wormhole with the Red Angel suit.
Oh, I'm not sure it's quite that level, but I get what you're saying.
No, it's not that level, but that's the purpose, I think.
Yeah.
No.
And as for why it worked on the ship, what happened on the ship with those hollows, that was some next level programming that was supposed to nurture and raise a child absent of any living being. And it was meant to conceal them when they came in. So something about Gray, something very unique about Gray, caused the program to recognize it. What is that? That's a lot that's going to need to be explored that I think would be very disappointing to be resolved off screen.
Well, the ship was destroyed, so I doubt they're going to get to look at that.
Well, they don't need to, but the fact that it happens at all means that that's something they can probably replicate.
It is something that definitely needs to be explored over several episodes to be satisfying, to me at least.
I don't know. That was a hard one to grasp for me, because like when they went to the planet and all of a sudden they see Gray, I'm like, okay, there's got to be like some sort of narrow connection with the holodeck because it's reading the minds, it's changing their appearance. Okay, they can see Gray. But then now when they get back to the ship, like, oh, we're going to make sure we can have Gray with us all the time. Like, time out. No, she had a Jantara, if you will, and Gray was there. You're not going to be able to give him a body now.
Well, he doesn't have a body. They don't have a body.
But what Stamets or Hughes said they want to bring him back. I'm like, no.
You're talking about a ship that probably has hollow emitters all over it.
Yeah, it does.
And also, Adira isn't Trill. The Jantara or whatever it is that's causing the Gray to be there is something different, I think.
Yeah, I don't think they were saying that they would bring Gray back as a corporeal being, but that they would bring Gray back as a being that could be recognized by other people in some way.
Yeah, I do want to call it out though, because if this is a result of the joining, and so that wherever Gray goes, wherever Adira goes, Gray has to go. It's really going to suck if they break up.
Oh.
Well, if that's the case, Gray can always go back into hiding. Remember,
that's true. But what I'm curious what that really means. Like, where does Gray go when Gray goes into hiding? In terms of their own consciousness. Okay, what about some of the other characters that we saw? We saw Tilly especially is another one. I'd love to hear your thoughts on. Yes, Captain Tilly. Acting Captain Tilly.
As you beat me over the head last week with.
Did that conclude in a satisfying way for you, son? Why don't you go ahead and start with that?
I honestly hope she keeps her first officer status, because that's something that was set up from the beginning of this season, and as much as you guys fought me on it, it happened.
Did I fight you on it? I don't remember.
Yes, you did.
Because I remember that when he appointed her first officer, I wasn't anti. I wasn't sure it was realistic, but I wasn't.
I remember
against
we were kind of like, okay, you're giving an ensign first officer. It's like, okay, what's the ploy here? It's kind of like, what's going to happen?
Because it was the episode we were talking about. Him, Saru, and her walking along the ice beach.
Oh, right.
And I said he is talking to her like he is going to give her.
I remember you said that.
Command.
Yes, I remember that too. Okay.
And
you're right. You did call that early.
That's exactly what happened here.
Yeah.
And I don't think it has anything to do with her ability to command, even though that was pretty much what Saru was fluffing up at the time. It's literally that she is in this weird sort of fucking way. She's the childlike Michael Burnham that everybody wanted to be in command, that we thought we'd get out of a command of Michael Burnham.
But she's a better first officer than Burnham.
Well, up until when Burnham screwed up, but she was by all accounts on the Shenzhou, she was pretty good.
Wait! Are we talking about the one who lost control of the ship in 12 minutes?
Well, she couldn't really.
No,
help
Cloud.
that.
We're talking about First Officer Tilly, not Captain Tilly.
Oh.
I mean, obviously, the chain had advanced knowledge and insight into how to take over the ship. The first thing they did was restrain Stamets so they couldn't jump away.
Yeah,
they knew
it's
that,
clear. I wish they had
That's a thread
delved
that's
into
not been
that a little bit.
resolved. Yeah.
Because they clearly had inside knowledge. They knew where the primary shield emitter was in Starfleet headquarters. That's some pretty sophisticated intel that they had.
That can be reasoned pretty well. Starfleet had to give away the secrets of Discovery in order to get to get to Navarre, to get the in to Navarre. That information could easily be leaked to Asira and the Chain, and then once they got aboard Discovery, they.
But how do you know what? How do you know? How do they know where the spore drive is being controlled from? How do they know where?
Yeah, that's pretty
they-
detailed. Like
Probably the scans that Osira got over the Book's home planet. I forget.
maybe.
I'm good at retconning things, so
No. I mean, that's not unreasonable. I just wish we knew, because it's significant. I think that when an enemy is able to get some pretty deep intel about you and your technology and your headquarters, how they got that information. Particularly in a universe where it's hard to move around. Like it's a huge investment of resources to physically move around the
and
galaxy.
also she's been waging a cold and hot war against Starfleet for how long? She's probably got information from them somewhere.
Yeah, no, clearly somehow.
It wouldn't be that far fetched for there to be a mole. I mean,
Yeah, but that by itself is an interesting.
Don't forget the headpiece.
True.
Headpiece?
The one that they use to mind control Stamets and
Oh yeah,
torture
the
Book.
neural. What do they call that? A neural blocker? No.
Yeah. It was. I think you said blocker. Was it?
I don't think it was blocker. It was something else.
I can't remember what they called it.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, did anyone notice that they had a deer in uniform at the end?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
I thought that was actually really cool because
no, Travis, no.
what?
What? No.
Go ahead, Travis.
What?
Sorry, go ahead.
I thought seeing Adira in uniform was really cool. When you first see her in what's the episode called?
People of Earth.
Yeah, People of Earth. You see her like really connect with the crew, and like you could tell, like she says that she has been waiting for a Starfleet vessel for a very long time, and seeing her like move out to join the crew of the Discovery and bond with them and go on this big adventure with them, turning down residence on Trill and learning more about the Trill inside herself to keep going on Discovery, I thought was really like seeing her in uniform is just a really cool way of closing out that arc for me personally.
Well, she was in uniform all season. She just was in a specialist uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah. My thing with Adira was that she should not have been in that uniform at all. She's what?
Well, she had to wear something.
Okay, fine. Clothes.
Sorry,
Book
they
wasn't
had to
in
wear
uniform. Book wasn't in uniform. He wasn't clothes, so she could have been. It's just that she's 16 years old and she's a lieutenant. I saw that she had 2 pips on that badge. I'm like, no.
Yeah, but she's also a joined symbiont with all the experience thereof, and they've always symbionts.
So why wasn't Jadzia an admiral when she got Curzon's symbiont?
Well, there's a big difference between a lieutenant and an admiral.
She doesn't have 2 pips.
But
she's an exchange officer.
Yeah, she had rank on Earth.
A sub ensign? She wasn't a lieutenant.
She may have had rank on Earth, but Earth wasn't part of the Federation.
But the point is, she had rank. Like, they're not going to necessarily bust her down to the lowest point if she can prove that.
If she's a lieutenant and Tilly is still an ensign next season, there's something wrong.
It's 900 years later. Ensign Kim is still an ensign.
The disrespect to Harry is real.
Okay, I'm interested, Jason, in your in what you said about the number of pips that you saw.
I'm looking at it right now, and I don't
on
see
Adira,
on Adira. I see the
I
two
saw
bars,
two,
but I'm not seeing any pips.
Who were those two dudes at the helm and ops?
right?
Like, I mean, because Owo
Night
and
shift.
Detmer were.
So
I guess night shift. You're probably right about that.
I don't want.
Delta
So I'm going to say
shift.
this. I don't want Tilly to be first officer. I think the Tilly character deserves to move through the ranks and grow. The first officer I'd like to see would be what's her name?
Owo.
Either Oo or
The blonde
Old
lieutenant,
Arium.
right?
Or who?
Old Arium.
Old Arium. We don't know enough about her.
I would say Ovo would be a good.
Old
Owo
area.
got a lot of screen time
Yeah,
this season,
she
and
did.
especially this episode. You know, and she has these, you know, these special abilities nobody else has, and she had that, you know, she grew up with what did she call them? You know, anti-technology people.
Luddites.
Luddites, thank you. So, yeah, I feel like Owo would be a great first officer.
On the subject of Adira, when Kira put on a Starfleet uniform, she went from colonel to captain. When
Commander.
Riker went and served on a Klingon ship, he kept his rank as well. So it stands to reason if Adira had any kind of rank, it would carry over if she is on exchange with Starfleet.
Kira was a commander. She went from colonel to commander.
She
was a captain.
Commander, I bet you right now. Check it.
I think Greg is right. She went from colonel to commander, but
Colonel, and well, at least in modern ranking, colonel is the equivalent of a Navy captain.
No.
You're not wrong there.
I'm
But in
looking
Star
right
Trek, she
now.
went from colonel to commander.
I'm looking right now.
That's because I just watched.
It's a race against time.
Greg is right.
So
yeah, I think Greg is right.
Yeah, it's we've got some
Three
commander
pips.
pips there.
There are 3 pips on that collar.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. It says commander.
It's just because she stayed as first officer. That's the whole thing. As a colonel, she's still first officer to Cisco. So
Yeah.
a commander.
Well, no, but she went
typically first
from
officer.
major. She went from major to colonel. Most likely, she would have
Yes.
been a lieutenant colonel, not like bird colonel, and so that would have transitioned to a full commander, not a captain.
Right, because even the lieutenant colonel, you still address as a colonel.
Right.
Oh, Anthony Armstrong in the comments says, "Don't forget to Paul." She also
Right.
had her rank transfer.
Right.
She did from sub commander in Vulcan to full commander in Starfleet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if they follow because that,
also-
that would be about right. If they
We're a bunch
follow,
of geeks, guys.
Yes, we are.
What happened?
We're super geeks.
we're super geeks.
Jason, do you not see behind me? Do you not see what's behind me?
Okay, so let's start to wind down. Let's talk about. We're moving on, folks. Let's talk about season 4. What do you think is being set up? What do you think is going to happen? What do you think needs to happen? Ross, let's start with you on this one.
Gray is going to be one of the central focuses. Then trying to get him some sort of getting him the ability to be seen and communicated with is going to be a big thing. I think we're going to continue exploring Adira. We're going to branch out and go farther than we have before. I'm hoping we get to see Klingons again. I'm hoping we got mention of Gorn. I would like to see them again as well. But who knows what could happen? We could go literally anywhere. The spore drive's range is unlimited. We could go back to the Delta or Gamma quadrants again. The sky, the galaxy, the galaxies is the limit.
Let's fly.
Actually,
Let's fly.
Let's fly. What do?
So-
They use warp drive. They are not using the spore drive.
Well, they're using both.
No. When they take off,
Like they
that
always
is warp drive. They are not.
Right.
That's because that's the dramatic exit for the season. Like if they had just done, if
This
they just
wasn't dramatic.
no, not like the ship sprint. Da, 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 no.
Yeah.
nothing
No,
deep.
I mean they're clearly still using warp drive where that's appropriate. So, that's fine. Okay, so who else? Justin.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Come back to me.
Okay. Cloud.
Oh,
What are we
God.
talking about?
What do you
Your
want to
thoughts
see
on
in
season
season four?
4?
Oh, season 4. I think we are going to see Humpty Dumpty put back together again.
Meaning Federation.
Yeah.
Okay, but
I think that's.
what does that look like in terms of what happens to our characters, though?
I mean, I think there'll be an overarching story. I think that there will probably be a chief adversary. This is why I'm glad Osira's gone, because I think Osira is a good villain for a good antagonist for this season. I think getting dilithium, getting the Federation going again requires a different level of villain. And so, like, I think we are our antagonists. I think we'll see. It very well could be the Klingons. We don't have the Romulans in this era to contend with. Or it could be the Dominion, it could be the Borg. But I definitely think that we're going to see the idea of spreading this hope through the galaxy, and there will be resistance to that. There will be a power vacuum by the Emerald Chain, and there'll be all this stuff. And so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think it's just going to continue to focus on that.
Yeah, it's
Jason,
definitely
that hope
more
is
of a
you.
wild. It's definitely more of a Wild West situation that they're going into, but one in which they're literally ambassadors. So
I want to see a real antagonist this season. I mean, one that actually will give them a run for their money. I'm sorry to change.
I don't want this to become Flash 2.0 though. Like that's that's a
exactly.
real risk.
I totally agree with you.
That's a real risk that this show could become. Is like I mean, Sun called this out, and I disagreed with her a little bit in our chat. I get it. We don't want these. We don't want them to have to keep leveling up. And if God's fighting God, I get it. I don't think they've done that this far, but I think it's very easy they could fall into that Flash trap where every season it just becomes more powerful, and you fall into the same tropes of the Discovery gets taken over and they have to fight it back, and Michael Burnham. I don't want to see that.
Dare I say it? I think they're going to go more down the TOS route, where it's going to be Civilization of the Week kind of a thing. I mean, there'll probably still be something connecting the
And what the
entire
fuck is
season.
Brave New Worlds for?
Well, but it's a different time. It's a different
Strange
time.
New Worlds of
You know,
Well, I
This
mean,
is
it's
30
basically
second century.
TOS. Yeah, I mean, they're reconnecting the Federation, so they're going to have to
that's
go
what-
out, solve
that's
whatever
what-
the problem of the week is to get the people to come back to the Federation.
Yeah, I think that's the difference.
I mean,
But I
that's-
think those problems of the week will start to tie together to something
Yeah.
that's a larger.
Now we're actually
What
getting
if- wait a
Andromeda.
minute, I have an idea. What
oh
if
God,
other
Oh,
power,
I
what
hate
if there's
Andromeda.
power,
Start,
what
don't
if there's other
start.
power out there trying to do the exact same thing?
Well,
Other-
if they
But
had
another-
been, we would have known about them.
Another power doesn't have a dilithium planet.
Yeah,
That we know about.
we would have seen them. They would have been known.
Well, see, here's another thing. What if another power had just made a breakthrough with artificial dilithium?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe another power found kyber crystals.
I mean,
damn it.
because the fact of the matter is also that the Vulcans or the Navarians also had developed an alternative propulsion system
That's
that wasn't
true.
based on dilithium, and the only reason that they abandoned development was because they thought they caused the burn. Now that they know they didn't, that's something that they could also develop. So
They developed Stargates.
Oh, Jesus.
I hope not. Anyway, okay, let's hear from Sun next.
Season 4. Sukal is still a menace and a danger to the galaxy.
You think so?
Yes. As much as honestly, we didn't get a wrap up to Sukal's anything other than, oh hey, let's go take Sukal home and float him in the fucking sugarcane fields. And it's like, that doesn't explain like how he is able to just scream and cause the burn. Is it because of his proximity to the planet? Is it he can do that anywhere in the galaxy?
No, Culver
There's-
basically said that once they get him away from the planet, he's not in a place where Travis. Sorry.
And what's the proof of that though? It's just said.
Yeah, I just don't think there's much productive to learn going down that path. I mean, Sukal is an incidental character. Not that we'll never see him again, but I just don't think he's going to be the center of anything. He always has been.
We don't know, honestly. I mean, we could literally find out that he's taking a shit and it's dilithium.
Sure, but yeah, I mean anything can happen. So, but the question is, what do you think will happen or should happen based on where we ended season 3? So, not what could happen, but what does some think should happen?
That's
a question for Sun. That's a question for Sun.
Yeah, sorry.
Honestly, I don't know.
There's nothing you want to particularly see explored?
Honestly, no, there's not.
Okay.
I mean, everything from season 3 has, for the most part, wrapped up decently well. I would like to see more of the Federation's inner workings itself than us doing some bring the next planet into the Federation every week, But
well, I mean, you can kind of do both at the same time, I would think.
DS9 did it.
Well, yeah, and
I think that will be Saru's role in season 4. Is he will be the connection to the larger Federation.
I have a theory that might. I'm not saying because I want to see something. I'm saying because of the position it's in. I'm thinking that as far as what should happen, Burnham's Captain Discovery. They do their job. She stays in command. What I think might happen is a theory is that Burnham will mess up and Saru takes over as captain again.
That feels like
it's a stretch. It's a stretch.
It feels like a whack.
It is.
If you do that,
it's been there, done that.
If you do that, it's going to be seen as pulling the rug from the first African American female captain.
Yeah,
and it's gonna. I mean, like these people are too socially aware. I think of the way that would play to do that.
If to do that in a political climate like we have right now,
well, it just even away from that, it just we've been there. This is a beat that's been played already. It just we don't learn anything new about either Saru or Burnham from a conflict from that.
I think really like the Wild West aspect. I don't think it's just going to be a different type of Star Trek. We're going to have to get used to. He might throw us for a whole loop. Who knows?
Yeah, it's also possible. It's also possible Vance goes to be with his daughter and his wife, and Saru becomes the admiral.
See, that's what I'm thinking because he knows
it's too soon, man.
You know that doesn't go. Well, I mean, he can become
a captain that long.
Yeah, he hasn't been a captain that long. There are other officers we've seen who've been
hold
around
on.
for much longer.
Cisco wasn't an admiral, and he was put in charge of a whole fleet. So that doesn't necessarily mean that Saru has to be an admiral.
Travis, have you gone yet?
No, he hasn't. We're getting
go, Travis.
What do I want to see in season 4? I mean, I don't have a lot of expectations right now. I'm very curious as to how they might bring Earth back into the Federation. Mm-hmm. I am very curious to see how Navarre will potentially play a role. That's another thing that kind of disappointed me this episode was Navarre really didn't do too much, and I was kind of hoping they would. And potentially seeing how Burnham and her mother, their relationship might go a bit further. I'd like to see her come back. This is more on the I'll touch base on what Jason said as far as potentially bringing back the Dominion or the Borg. The Dominion I don't think is going to come back. If they do make an appearance, I imagine it would be probably more along an alliance, because I believe that we saw them listed in the Federation database very briefly in die trying or something. Episode 5. But I do remember the producers at one point saying that they would like to find a way to bring the Borg in, and I know I'm bringing up Lower Decks a lot, but
we have to get there, Travis. We have to get to that scene.
Get to what scene?
In the far, far future, when all the children are learning about Starfleet's greatest hero.
Exactly, and we see it. We see a Borg student there. So I'm very curious to see if potentially the Borg Collective might actually be more aligned in this era. I think that would be really cool to explore. And since we have a ship that can go literally anywhere in the galaxy, I mean, having the Borg make an appearance in this this upcoming season is not far-fetched at all. I mean, it might be a little fan wanky. I hate that term, but it might, I think if they can play their cards right, it could be really interesting.
Who says it has to be the Borg, though? It could be the new cooperative.
Could be. That's a good point.
That's true. The burn could have affected the Borg as badly as everybody else.
Yeah, because we don't know how bad or how widespread. We know it was bad. We know the burn was bad, but we don't know
We're
exactly
pretty sure it was the whole galaxy.
how.
We're pretty sure it's the whole galaxy.
Really? No.
Yeah, they say so.
For sure.
They say so.
Yeah.
Well,
because think about
it's
this way: if
an
it wasn't
entire
galaxy wide, the other galaxy powers would have swooped in the power vacuum that was the collapsing of the Federation.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Justin, would you put up Anthony Armstrong's latest comment on there? I think it's a good overall thing about some of the challenges here, which is and Jason brought this up earlier too. With only 13 episodes, there's so much you could do, and there's only so much you can do.
I agree. See, and I agree with Anthony on that point. Sorry, Jason. I agree with him on that point. The seasons are too short.
Yeah,
they're trying to compact this entire story. It's like, how would we feel if the Dominion War was a 12-episode arc? We'd lose it would be too much. So, and I don't know what the reasoning is, because they could easily make Discovery a 20-episode season, and it might
that's not going to happen.
That's too many. That's too many.
It's too expensive, dude. These are cost $8 to $10 million an episode.
Yep, and
so
I mean,
you would have to roll back the production values. They're not going to do that.
Well, they did. Well, when TNG was out, they were up to $1 million. Hold on, Carlos. Hold on. $1.5 million to $2 million an episode in the 90s for TNG is equivalent to $10 million now. So they were rolling cash hard.
No, yes, it's not.
No, it's not.
With the inflation of the dollar.
I'm going to do some math. I'm doing math here.
And you can't just run it through a calculator and say, well, the cost of living went up by 20%. So that's not the way film production works. And there's a totally different economic framework for how these shows are paid for and financed. And the reality is that when you don't suck at the teat of advertisers, you go down the prestige route, and that's why you don't see any of these premium channels doing 20 episode seasons. They just don't. It's too expensive.
20 episode seasons stopped a good while ago. If you haven't noticed,
just a standard inflation calculator takes it to 2.29 million. Not like that. But I mean, I think 20 episodes is too long too. I think especially if you're trying to do these kinds of stories where you're trying to pull them together, I think the narrative gets drawn out. I think where we missed, or the areas that we missed, because we had a 13 episode season as opposed to a 15 episode season, would have been just delving into certain storylines. Like I said, if we had a story, if between episode 1 and 2 we had seen a little bit of Michael Burnham's year, maybe her doing various missions to get different, getting the whatchamacallit, the black box. And then maybe an episode after Discovery returned to the fleet of them kind of doing Federation-y things, right?
Well, and also trying to find Michael. The reunion would have played a lot better if we'd seen them apart for one more episode.
Yeah,
I think.
I think if we had done that, that's fine. But I think if we get into 20, that's when we end up with like Paris and Janeway going warp 10 and having space lizards.
Oh.
So this is just a question. Did the producers say why? Because they went 15, 14, and now 13. So why are they dropping? Like, they could have gone 15 easily then. 15 would have probably been a good number for this particular. Oh, Jesus.
It would have been, but the economics of how they invested in the first season aren't something that are replicable in later seasons.
And also, hindsight's 2020, right? Like we're saying this, looking at the completed season, right? And so, I mean, we don't know how the writers' room stories broke, how it all came together, and I mean, they may have had the episodes that the missing episodes that we're talking about that just for whatever reason they had to cut for maybe budgetary reasons, maybe for I just think that when you go back to that long season format, you get really shitty product.
Yeah, you get filler.
Okay, I agree. This would have been the season then to kind of push it to that 1 or 2 more episodes because I think everybody agrees we kind of wanted more like see how it goes from there. So just kind of
it's a tricky thing because usually, Jason, to your point, you get the episode order at the beginning. This is your budget. This is your number of episodes. Go. Right. So I'm sure prior to getting that, they probably had all kinds of thoughts, and then did have to winnow those down to the reality of the number of episodes. But I remember them saying in season 1 that this was it was out of the ordinary that they went as many as 15 episodes, and it was not going to be the standard.
And Picard and Lower Decks both had 10 episodes each.
Yeah.
So we're still getting more Discovery than we did those shows, and I hope that continues.
I hope so too.
What would you say then? Like, I haven't seen it, but what would you say then if we see season 4 as a 12-episode order? Then
that's not going to happen. 13 is a very standard number these days. You either go 10 to 13.
I would not be opposed to when it comes to the length of the season. This is one thing I will criticize Discovery on. I'm very critical of its story's pacing. The finales have always felt like they rush something. This is one of the reasons I really don't care for the killing off of Osira. The fact that we get this exposition dump at the end where Burnham just says, well, after Osira's killed, the chain just crumbled. I was just like, that's what I mean. Lost opportunity. We could have gotten another season further exploring this. I am not against a season ending and continuing a storyline that kind of leaves us on a cliffhanger.
Well, I think go ahead, Ross. Go ahead.
We might get some more exploration because who was still on Discovery at the end of the season?
Aurelio.
Who was still there after the uniform change?
Oh, you talked about Aurelio?
Yeah.
The scientist?
Yeah. Aurelio was still there.
Yeah.
So we very well might get some more insight into the chain and its society and culture.
Yeah, he might turn to that position that he might be like, hey, we had bases here.
I think what you're going to probably see is remnants of the chain. And I sort of agree and disagree with you, Travis, because I agree with you that Osira had the potential to be a really great, brilliant villain. I mean, she was that very rare kind of villain, which is utterly reasonable, ruthless, but reasonable. And there's a lot of potential stories to tell about an antagonist like that. I think, however, they have in mind something completely different for season 4, and that's why they wanted to end this. So I'm hoping that their grand idea for what season 4 is going to be about writ large is big enough and good enough that setting aside the potential of exploring Osira more was worth it. That's what I
agree with.
I certainly hope they do as well.
So speaking of the death of Osira, can we talk about Burnham eating data chips?
Yeah, we'll talk about that as we leave. I want to hear from Ross. You haven't gone yet on your season 4 predictions, have you?
Yes, that was the first one.
Yeah, you did. Okay, so yes, then we can talk about the data chips. So yes, thank you for pulling that up. Okay, so that was weird. First of all, we don't know what they've never really told us what the properties of those things are, and so we don't know what it means to be pushed into into a wall of them.
Well,
We
I
don't
mean,
know, we don't
Was it
know
a
what. Let me finish. We don't know what Osira knew about it because she walks away as if, oh, okay, taken care of, and then obviously she wasn't. So it just felt like something
God.
that was really just off.
I think,
Oh
I
my
think,
God.
I think we see a plot point for next season. Something.
Maybe I don't
I
know.
mean,
I
they
just
wouldn't
don't.
have
No,
done. They would not have done that if they don't mean something.
Yeah, they would have. Travis, go ahead.
um, well, first of all, I'm gonna just go ahead and say that I think that focusing on the eating computer chips thing is kind of silly because I am not getting a vibe from this like we did when the spore flake lands on Tilly's shoulder. And that immediately
Yeah.
made me like think, oh, remember from season
Yeah.
2,
Yeah.
Tilly's gave a pinky swear to I can't remember the character's name off the top of my head,
oh
but
Actually, you might be incorrect there because that something like this, like a person's integration into the data core, would probably help Sora progress in understanding herself.
Maybe,
I
but
have a
they.
theory.
but
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so I'm gonna diverge a little bit. In the game Destiny 2, there is a mechanic called the engram. Its purpose is basically loot boxes. You loot an engram, it becomes something physical. But what the idea behind the engram is it's a new state of matter. It is data made physical. It's not physical media, it's literal data that is manifest in a physical form. So what she was being shoved into, that was the ship's literal data stream as she was being pushed in, at least what I think it was. When she was coughing stuff out, they kind of dissolved as they left her body.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking there's kind of a semi-corporeal, probably subspace element to this data stream that she was shoved into.
Well, I mean, was it programmable matter that she got shoved into? I mean,
That's also a possibility.
nice.
I think Osira was shoving her in there with the purpose of suffocating.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think that's what she had thought. Because I mean, but could we maybe see what's the AI's name? Zora? Maybe a
Zora.
body for Zora next season.
I think Michael's gonna be a body for no.
No.
No, not Michael.
Zora has a body.
Yeah, Zora has no body.
Exactly.
Zora does have a body now.
Yeah, but a real body.
Mhm.
Except Zora doesn't exist yet, so
Oh,
Or-
Zora totally exists.
We could see maybe a return of Arium because aren't Arium's memories stored in a computer?
yeah.
Or the whole Calypso episode was one of the many timelines that
Maybe.
was created as they were trying to avert the events of Control.
Maybe.
Could be.
Maybe. So it's sort of parallel, so that's why we have a Zora, but it's not the Zora that we saw in Calypso. That makes as much sense as
The burn
else.
still happens. The chain is still fighting the Vidreich.
mhm.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I do hope it gets resolved though, because it's, we're definitely on the path to Zora, whatever that means, and however that ends up looking. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap up on this episode and do our traditional round robin, in which I'd love to hear your rating for the season finale and your rating for the season as a whole. And we will start with Sun.
Okay, so I still have an issue with Burnham just bringing up, "Hey, Book, go get in the spore drive."
That wasn't that wasn't Burnham that brought it up.
Yeah, no, it was Aurelio.
Yeah, but she looked at him, and then he explained it.
Yeah.
We don't. It's not clear that she's the one who came up with the idea. I don't think she was.
It was still weird how it just came up.
Well, it is a bit convenient, but it's not.
That's Star Trek.
Yeah,
It's Kirk levels of convenient.
I mean,
That one,
we
yeah.
have that Star Trek everywhere. Oh, look, the Enterprise is here.
Oh God, Jason.
It's Kirk levels of convenient is what it is.
well,
But
yeah,
other
Star
than
Trek.
that, and some questions I still have lingering. This is a 9.5.
For the episode.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
Wow.
Okay, and season.
Yeah.
for the entire season, it's probably about an 8.5.
Okay, those are good numbers. Travis and Lane.
You just had to go to me next. I haven't.
I can come back to you.
I'll go. As far as the episode is concerned, I will go ahead and I will give it an 8. I'll give it a solid 8. It's a solid finale. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Okay, it's a solid finale. You said.
It's a solid finale. I don't know where I'd rank it quite yet on my finale countdown, but that's something for another day. As far as the season is concerned, I thought it was
Copyright.
yes, copyright. As far as the season is concerned, I thought again it's the best that Discovery has done in terms of its repertoire. It is a very solid season. I'll go ahead and give the season a 9.
Okay, 8 for the episode, 9 for the season. Thank you very much, Commander Kirkley.
For the episode, I'm gonna have to ding it. Go as far as season. I'm gonna go with a 6 out of 10. It was just too rushed in my opinion and anticlimactic. As far as the season goes, I will give it about the same as I did season 2. Pike really saved season 2 for me. Discovery. This season's saving grace for me was Terra Firma Part 1, and then went to 2, Su'Kal, and then there's a tide. I'm gonna give the season overall an 8.
Okay.
It just like I was like at first it was really slow. I was like, okay, I get it, they're coming back. When I saw Terra Firma, and then for me, there is a tide so far as the best episode of Discovery. Personally, I think so. There is a tide was probably one of the best ones of Discovery so far.
Okay, I wouldn't disagree with you on that one. Eyebrows of Doom.
All right, continuing with my gag of unconventional scoring.
Okay, there's too much to lose there.
Yeah, that was 9 out of 10 assorted paint pots.
That's an omen. That is an omen.
Hey, I
Nine
spilled one of them yesterday. It already happened. Thank you.
Okay, so that's 9 out of 10 for the episode?
Yes. And same for the season.
Oh, okay. All right, solid. Stalwart Justin.
That's what I get for trying to stack stuff on the phone.
We're going to go with an 8.5 for this season and a 9 of 9. Discovery fucking finally closing the shuttle bay doors.
That was the thing that just clicked it for you, huh?
Yes.
That's how you know Book moved in.
He's paying rent now.
No, he's the captain's bitch.
Yeah, I think he's singing falsetto.
He's the captain's band. The captain's gigolo. Or the escorts? Courtesan.
Why do I keep back to you guys? Why can't I quit you?
You love us. You love us.
Companion. There we go. The captain's companion.
There you go.
Lane won't
companion.
let you leave, Travis.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
the
Justin,
captain
did you give?
who now?
Hang on just a second. Justin, did you give both scores?
Justin did, yeah.
8.5 for the season, you said? Can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Justin.
You're muted.
9 out of 10 for the episode, 8.5 for the season.
Okay, great. All right, son, you were going to ask a question?
Well, in response to Ross, so Burnham's Doctor Who now?
Companion.
The captain's companion.
Yeah.
I was referencing the
that's what I
Firefly
thought too, son.
companion, but okay.
Well, I mean,
Oh. Okay.
Discovery is bigger on the inside, so why not?
All right. Beard Fasse.
I'm going with 5 out of 5 kyber crystals. And 2 of these were made by Ryan Seeley from Aximonitor. The Aximonitor group. This one doesn't have an RFID. This one does.
Oh, we got another one out of Travis.
You know, again, and I really do believe this is probably the best single season of Star Trek produced. You know, I think that it told a solid, cohesive story. I think that it was socially extremely relevant. I think that the characters really gelled. You know, yeah, there were weak moments, but you know, that's kind of the luxury of being able to do a 13-episode season is that you're not having to string along a bunch of crap in a good, in good, I think next to this one, probably season 7 of Deep Space Nine is the next strongest. And I mean, there was no Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite. There was no, Esri playing super space detective with the. So I think that it worked in its favor.
What is wrong with Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite? That is one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek.
It's a great episode.
It's a hilarious.
I'm personally a fan of
better than we are the fucking Voyages.
Hey, These Are the Voyages is the best episode of Enterprise.
Don't get us started on that. Don't get us started
You just
on
had
that.
to say it. You just had to say it.
Well, I mean, he's not one of the best DS9 episodes.
Why are you throwing him? Why are you feeding him red meat, Justin?
No, because
why?
Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite. Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite isn't a bad episode, but it isn't.
We're not going to. We're not relitigating this. You have already explained this many, many times. Okay, so I'm going to finish up with. I think I'm with Justin. I give it a solid 9 for the episode and an 8.5 for the season, which I think is still pretty good. I think there were a couple of episodes where they kind of went a little off track, and it was like, if you only have 13 episodes, why are you spending one on this?
Yeah, you don't need a filler.
Yeah, so at least one of them felt like filler.
We're so happy we didn't get Captain Till yet. I'm sorry.
But there were definitely high points. Tilly was one of them. Giorgio was another one.
I'm gonna miss Giorgio.
You'll get her back. You'll get her back later. I do think that. Well, I guess that's really all I have to say. I think it was a strong season. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. I'm not sure I would say it's the best season of Star Trek. I think it's tied with DS9.
Yeah, it definitely ranks up. I agree with you there because it ranks up there with DS9. As far as
we didn't have an In the Pale Moonlight in this season.
No,
that would have been season 6.
Yeah, I'm not sure which DS9. It was one of the later ones that I would pick.
Six later.
We did get a tapestry, though.
What's that?
We did get a tapestry.
We did get tapestry.
Ross.
Yeah. I'm just not. I'm saying it's as good as the best season of DS9.
Ooh, I just thought of a total force moment for next season. What if they look for a body for Gray? They look for a sense to transfer his memory into.
No, they're not giving him he'll probably just be a holographic projection.
Yeah.
They just got to figure out the nature of why he manifests as a separate individual from the other hosts.
It's also
from the previous hosts.
They find the Doctor's hollow emitter.
Well, it's the 32nd century.
Yeah.
They have something more advanced than the Doctor's hollow emitter.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so that winds up Discovery for the season, for the year, for we don't know when we're going to see. Yes,
we don't get Trek for a while. We don't get Trek for a while, huh?
Yeah.
Not till the end of the year, I think, ain't it?
Because Picard is barely going to start filming.
They're starting in February.
How will you
February 1st.
Maybe they're starting in February again. Remember, Hollywood shut down for a couple weeks, and
Yeah.
they haven't done
Yeah. But I'm saying Picard,
He was a couple weeks ago, so they might not even start in February.
They are working on Lower Decks right now, and that one, while
Let him finish.
while I know that animation takes time, the fact is they have more liberty at work with working with Lower Decks right now than Discovery or Picard, because they don't need to go to a certain place to go film. They don't need to report to a set. They are very much working on a lot of this just through computer, and so I'm hoping we can see some Lower Decks next year. Hoping.
Do any of us know Strange New Worlds was already filming? Or
I'm not sure it has started production
haven't.
yet.
I thought they
I
were
think
starting.
I think they're still casting.
They announced it right at the beginning of the pandemic, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. We would have heard if they'd started production.
So
No,
we know
filming is scheduled to take place at CBS Stages in Mississauga, Ontario, from February to July 2021.
For Strange New Worlds?
Yep.
Okay, so we know that Prodigy is in production. We know that Lower Decks is in production. So that we might get.
They're all in production, but the problem is
they're recording. They're recording. Prodigy and Lower Decks is recording, because they said they're recording for Prodigy back when they announced that January was going to be part of it. So they're already recording.
Well, yeah. So, I think Prodigy will probably be. I mean, it's possible we would see Prodigy next.
Yeah, I think so.
And then Lower Decks, and then Discovery, and then Strange New Worlds, and then Picard is probably it. We'll probably get, I mean, depending upon when Prodigy and Lower Decks is released, we could potentially see
three Trek shows next year or this year.
Discovery released kind of the same time frame in 2021 that it was in so coming out late October.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. Towards the end of the year.
Discovery had the pandemic really to slow them down, so they'll be able to move a lot quicker.
I mean, keep in mind the other seasons of Discovery pretty much started to be released shortly after principal photography ended.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, we probably won't be getting more Trek content till I would say mid to late next year. I would say probably around.
You mean this year?
There's something here that I don't know about with the pandemic, and that is that voice recording for animation and shit, like movies and stuff, even TV shows, is usually done at the end of actually doing the animation most often.
Yeah, you can thank Robin Williams for that one.
Yeah, but
with the pandemic going on, are they doing recording first and then animation?
I think they're probably doing it simultaneously, if anything. I mean,
yeah, they probably do it at the same time, or still do the recording afterward.
Like Jack Quaid has tweeted that he is in his closet recording lines for Lower Decks. So,
is he starting them with Captain's Log?
I don't know. I just remember him sending out a tweet like, "Yep, recording for Lower Decks," and so I was like, "Oh, yay!"
I love all those guys on Twitter. They give the haters hell. They just take fun of it all day. It's great.
Actually, I don't. The animation happens after the audio recording because they have to have something to animate.
Yeah, and syncs and everything.
In more expensive ones, yes. The cheaper straight-to-video stuff.
Well, they usually do animated cells, right? For the actors to follow.
They have a storyboard.
Animaniacs,
they
right?
have animatics comes after audio recording too. What they have are storyboards, the character and prop and location designs, and obviously the scripts.
So do they do a secondary recording?
Yeah, because I remember seeing this years back. They changed all that. They changed to doing recordings after because Robin Williams, what he did for the Genie, pissed off the animators. So they started doing the animation first and then recording after that incident.
I think that was an exception to the rule because it was Robin Williams. But if they're following the traditional production workflow for animation, that happens. Audio recording happens very early.
All right, so
According to Quora, most cases, voice is recorded first by reading a script, and then the animation is done to follow will be done to follow animation.
Yeah, because it would be really hard to fit an actor's interpretation of it if you've already mouthed the words. If you've already animated the characters doing what they're doing, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Some producers like Disney also ask the actors to perform the action so they can do a better voice take.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right. Well, that was a great season, and I appreciate all of your thoughts and ideas about it. We'll try to make it through the next several months before we see any more Trek.
No.
What do we have to look forward to?
Dead Little Roosters.
What's that?
It's an interactive whodunit series by Rooster Teeth. They announced it just last week. The first episode dropped today. It's one of those sleuth with the show to try and figure out who's on the killing spree.
Among Us.
Among Us.
It's more than just Among Us. I mean, it's
It's a choose your own Among Us.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Like it's not like you have to actually watch and look at almost each frame and scene of the series to kind of get the hints that are being dropped. Like there's going to be QR codes and like 6 frames of a photograph, things like that you really have to watch and pay attention to figure out what's going on.
Well, let us know how that proceeds. It'd be interesting to see. But we're definitely heading into a Trek desert for the next several months.
We might try to do some stuff here and there. Maybe an episode rewatch or something.
Or we branch out to something new.
Sure,
Actually,
but let's not forget one important thing. We have always had short treks after every season.
Well,
Don't we also have the Voyager documentary coming out in March, or is that when they start filming it?
I don't think I have. I don't know if that started filming yet, but yeah, we definitely will be covering that.
Because Garrett Wong came out on Twitter and said he goes March. I forgot what day. March 2021 is the date, and he's telling everybody to save that date.
Isn't that an independent production though?
It is.
What
We Left Behind. That was also.
it's the same people who did What We Left Behind.
Yeah, so it's independent.
Right.
Okay, so I'm crossing my fingers actually for short treks. Because we've always gotten them so far. So I'm hoping that we will.
Yeah, but we didn't have a pandemic either, so that might be a question mark whether or not we get them this year.
Well, I think that they probably shot them concurrently with the show.
That would be smart.
Did they announce them though?
Well, they never announced them. They announced them. They announced them very close to the actual release, and they give you a release schedule, but until they're announced, there's no mention of them. At least there haven't been in the last 2 seasons. So that's what I'm going to hope for, and I'm hoping that we'll learn a little bit more of the, one of them might be, Burnham's year away as a courier, or something. We'll see. I'm just hoping that there are definitely some things that could be explored that some of us have pointed out.
Burnham and Book's wedding.
No, that's a ways away. That's a ways away. Okay. All right. So let's move on. Our only other Star Trek topic or news this week is one I came across just yesterday, which was that a Star Trek fan, and I think we've talked about this too, as people were wondering, a Star Trek fan deep-faked the Next Generation era Data into Picard, because of course a lot of people complained that Data didn't look like Data because Brent Spiner is older, and so they deep-faked it, and it actually turned out pretty well. Did you have any of you had a chance to look at that?
I didn't get a chance. No.
I saw it. I think that 1980s makeup aside, Data should look uncanny.
Should look uncanny?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, because he's an android, right?
Right. He should look. Data didn't look uncanny in TNG. He looked like a guy with makeup on his face, with his hair brushed back. I think that, to me, the way Data appeared in Picard actually makes a lot more sense than the way he appeared in the series. And I think a lot of that is because they didn't have the forethought to think, what are we going to do as Data gets older? At least the one thing I can say about the Orville, good, is that they were smart enough to make Isaac a faceless automaton, so that age doesn't matter to him.
Yeah,
you mean the best Trek show on TV, the Orville?
Now you're just pulling our chain there, Greg.
I mean, if by best you mean worse, yeah, sure.
Well, I think the reality is, if they had done something like a deep fake, you wouldn't have gotten Brent Spiner coming back to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have just voiced it. I think he's an actor.
Yeah.
He wants to act.
And that's Brent Spiner's mannerisms. It's like his character.
Yeah. So they still needed him as physically for some of that, but it did. I thought it looked pretty good. As a thought experiment.
They better bring Spiner back for the Night Court reboot. They at least gotta bring him back once.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure he still wants to.
Night Court. Oh God.
Okay, let's take a quick dip into this week's episode of The Expanse. So who else watches it besides me? Yeah.
Sorry, Carlos. Still waiting on my. I'm down in the territory waiting on my kid. I'm going to go ahead and dip out on this one.
Okay.
Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate
Thanks for joining us, Greg.
It's been great. So, but I'll keep in touch. I'll be watching live streams, and we'll go from. Stay tuned.
Okay.
Good to finally meet you.
Right. See you guys
later, dude.
Okay, so Expanse. Who else is watching it? I know you aren't, Travis. Justin, you are. And you haven't gotten into it yet, have you, Claude William?
I haven't. Slacker. Listen, I got into The Boys. I got caught up with The Boys. But no, I just...
Boys?
The Boys.
Oh, The Boys. The Boys.
It's hard because I'm so far behind. It's hard to get caught up, and I'll get there. I just haven't gotten there yet. I mean, I'm still watching Doctor Who with the kid. I'm still on the Peter Capaldi years. So
I suppose. So it's just you and me, Justin.
Well, I liked it. I like the way it's going. Definitely getting into faster pace. So next episode, the last episode, ain't it? For the season, or we got one more?
Oh, dude, this is only episode. That was only episode 4 or 5.
We only have 8.
I feel like it's 10, but let's
It's
see.
either 8 or 10. It's not many.
Keep talking.
Come on, I'll find it. Season 5, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Looks like 8. Yeah.
8
10 episodes.
Oh, you're right. There it is. 10.
Okay. Well, yeah. So, I mean, definitely getting to the faster pace part of the story. It's going to be interesting to see if everybody reunites. Yes.
Well, they will. They always do. I mean, they will.
Yeah, but how soon is this up to the question mark?
Well, that is the question mark.
Yeah.
I don't think they can keep them apart much longer, just because they really each have. I mean, you're seeing the threads start to come together in this, and a shout out to the actor who plays Amos, who was excellent in this episode.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And and where we learn that he actually understands that Holden, his captain, his commander, actually is his moral compass.
Yep.
That was really cool for him to sort of come to a realization about, and it says a lot about his own character development over the course of the 5 seasons. So
yeah, because that moment where you realize, man, Holden would never allow that. I need to get back to my ship.
Yeah. One of the things I really like that The Expanse has done is that they really have given a lot of screen time, character development, story development to characters outside the Rocinante crew. And I'm thinking specifically of Drummer and her pirate ship. Because she was a great part of last season, and I'm glad that she's getting a lot of time this season as well. I'm enjoying the Martian part, Bobby and Alex, as they're trying to track down all the gun running and ship, the ships that are being stolen from Mars for the Belchers to use. And it feels like a great big story in addition to the small stories, the personal stories that you're seeing each of the characters go through. And that is a hard thing to juggle. And I think The Expanse has always done that well and is doing it well this season so far, as I'm concerned.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Did you watch Cobra Kai?
Yes, yes. Who watched Cobra Kai? I finished it. My favorite part of Cobra Kai's season was the Okinawa episode and him meeting up with Chosen again. I thought it laid the groundwork for the finale really well, and it was just a really great episode that sort of subverted expectations, and you saw a lot of that in that episode. I really like the Okinawa episode.
I love the callbacks to the other movies, and it's the way they bring back flashbacks and how they said they use a lot of deleted scenes to do it. I hear next season they're talking about bringing in the girl from the last Karate Kid movie.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. I don't know. I don't know that people are really that invested in her, and they already have a lot of kids on that show. I don't know if.
Well, I mean, she'd be an adult like Johnny and.
Yeah, she would be. Who's played her?
Oh, true.
Yeah.
They not as old as them, but.
What's her name?
Just do it.
Wait, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, I don't think it's her.
I'll get it.
You look it up.
Hilary Swank.
It was. I was about to say Hilary Swank, and I was like, no, it can't be Hilary Swank. Okay, great.
Yeah, so if they get Hilary Swank, they're going to get Hilary Swank.
Yeah, they'll get Hilary Swank if they want Hilary Swank. They'll do it. And
they'll get her.
It's a show business darling, that show. Everyone loves it. Yeah, so we'll see.
What did you think about the finale? Did you think it ended up really neat?
It's about time. I mean, we were waiting for this moment all season for them to team up since it started.
All 3 years we've been waiting for.
Yeah, we were waiting for them to team up. It's almost happened.
They flirted with each other around it. I felt like it felt like inevitable to me. So,
it was a romance that needed to happen.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they'll still have their ups.
There has to be tension between them.
Yeah,
I just hope it isn't like that continued tension that gets broken, and then and they come like, I can't quit you.
Yeah. I hope they. One of the things I think they've done really successfully with Johnny is, for every 2 steps he takes forward, he takes one back, and it keeps him, I think, sort of very grounded as a character. Like he doesn't develop too fast. Like he learns some things, but not everything, and kind of moves forward in fits and starts. So I like how they've done that. I love the episodes with the return of Allie, which I wasn't sure how that was going to play out, and I thought it was actually pretty authentic feeling.
Yeah, I felt really good, and I was kind of worried that Johnny getting with Allie was going to cause issues between him and Miguel because of the relationship that's budding between Johnny and his mom.
Yeah.
And it didn't, and I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad that it was very platonic. Because like I said, I think obviously you want the character to stay grounded, like you pointed out, Carlos, but at the same time, like there comes a point where like you don't want to see the same character get beat up over and over and over.
Yes, and that's definitely a danger with Johnny.
Yeah. And Johnny is, he was the antagonist of the original Karate Kid for sure. But I think they've done a lot of redemption to where I personally really care for him, like as a character, and I don't want to see him I get frustrated when he takes those steps back.
I mean,
Yeah.
we all kind of figured that, him having his own son, turned it free at the end. I mean, we all saw this kind of happening eventually.
Yeah, and it actually puts him going to Daniel earlier in the earlier seasons, kind of in a weird light, right? So like you kind of think that like he went to Daniel because yes, originally because he was mad at his dad and Daniel took him under his wing, but realistically, he's looking for a father figure with someone who is kind of opposed to his father, and now Kreese is that for him. But the villain or the main antagonist of this show, I mean, aside from being Kreese, is now the daughter or the girl. Because if you notice in the fight in the house,
Are you talking about the Cobra Kai girl?
Yeah, the
What's
Cobra
her
Kai
name?
girl,
Tori, right?
because she was wearing, and they did this very subtly, but she was wearing the skeleton hoodie.
I noticed that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and but even her, they give some sympathetic treatment to, in the middle of the season when, when the landlord tries to, extract sexual favors.
Right. These aren't cardboard cutout characters. They definitely have depth, and they definitely have, they have motivations. And Tori is very much the protagonist of her own story, which makes her a much better antagonist, in my opinion.
Yeah, and she pulls it off. The actress, like you can feel the fear that Tori instills in what's her name? What's Daniel's daughter's name? I'm blanking on it. Well, her.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think my only issue is having to wait so long for season 4 because I waited so long for season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, we binged it. The only problem with binging episodes, when you binge them, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, no, but this show is actually
rewatchable.
No, but watching this show week after week on YouTube Red and then YouTube Premiere, whatever it was very hard because it was very short, 30 minutes. You couldn't take in enough of the story, and so like I always felt like I went back and watched the week before to watch this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do that this time.
Well, yeah, I think it's their storytelling fits binging better than a weekly release for sure. I had the same observation as well. Okay, so let's move on to talking about Wonder Woman. Two things, and they're sort of business related. Ross, welcome back. We're talking about Wonder Woman.
I was listening in, waiting for my turn to chime in.
Okay,
I haven't seen Cobra Kai or
Expanse
yet, so.
Yeah. Okay, so Wonder Woman, as you know, was released simultaneously to theaters and on HBO Max, and in fact was the herald for all of Warner Brothers 2021 theatrical releases. They'll be simultaneously released like that as well. So the big question is, did the name of the game on HBO Max, like other premium platforms, is subscribers? Is it attracting new subscribers? Is it keeping existing subscribers from unlisting and moving on to something else, particularly in an era of increased competition with other premium platform services? And the story this week is maybe yes, according to the article I read, although no one's giving any numbers. Theatrically, worldwide, the movie did well for being released during a pandemic. I'm not sure that they have a really great benchmark for what's really well, given the up and down nature of how movie releases have been going this year, particularly with surges in different countries at different points of the year, especially this fall. So so it sounds like they're playing things kind of close to the chest around the financial success of Wonder Woman, but and they obviously have already greenlit the third one. What do you think you guys are going to stick around for not just Wonder Woman 3, but for the other Warner Brothers releases on HBO Max?
Yeah. I mean Wonder Woman 84 wasn't a spectacular movie, but I enjoyed it. I liked it for what it was. It was a superhero action movie. It delivered on those. It was nonsensical in a lot of ways, like we talked about last week.
Yeah.
It delivered thematically, but it wasn't perfect. Far from it. But Patty Jenkins has an overall good record. Gal Gadot is a fantastic actress, and hopefully, with the lessons learned from this film, I think they'll do well for the next one. At least I hope so. Let's not get into the paint supplies, please.
Grudge.
I mean, I do plan on keeping it because it's. I mean, look at everything that's on HBO Max. You got Doctor Who. You got. Yeah,
Dune,
I mean,
right, Dune.
Dune. I mean, there's so many options to choose from. It's got. It's just got more programming than some of the other stuff. I mean, yeah, I do plan on dropping like CBS All Access. I'm going to be dropping it after Star Trek ends because I got Star Trek on other platforms like Netflix. I got Star Trek on Amazon Prime. I don't need just CBS by itself right now. It's just not needed until short treks start back up. But
God, please let there be short treks, please.
Please let there be short treks.
But yeah, I mean, HBO Max. I mean, they got DC Universe moving over to HBO Max, so it's a win-win.
Yeah, we should be getting the next Titans season pretty soon.
Aren't they supposed to be making a Sphere series? Like the movie Sphere?
I think I remember hearing something about it. I didn't like the movie, so it didn't really move me.
The book was really good.
Yeah.
The book was better than the movie.
Yeah, the book was way better than the movie. It was a really good book.
That's often the case.
Yeah.
Also, and at least for me, there's some exclusive Rooster Teeth stuff that's going to HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
The second season of Genlock, which is a fantastic anime-style action series with giant
I've
mechs.
even heard of that one.
You have?
Yes, I have.
Excellent. Yeah, Maisie Williams, Killmonger. The actor that played Killmonger, he's the lead role.
I don't remember.
Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, right. Okay.
Big name stars with this one.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Has anyone heard anything about Ghostbusters 3?
No. I don't really follow that.
Is that not a Warner Brothers thing?
I don't remember.
Oh, it's Sony.
Studio. Is it Sony? Yeah.
Sony.
So let's talk a little bit about Wonder Woman. And this isn't, we reviewed it last week, so we don't have to, travel ground we've already traveled. But one of the things, one of the articles I read this week about it answered one of the big questions I had, and a lot of the concerns that I heard from people who didn't like it, who sort of reflexively blamed the studio for too much interference, or written by committee or whatever. And I remember on one thread on Facebook, I'm like, I don't know if that's the case. And it turns out actually it wasn't the case. The studio, while it did give Patty Jenkins a hard time early on in terms of how they were bringing her on board, and how much creative latitude they were giving her, she actually battled that out with them early on, and won early on. And the movie that we see is the movie pretty much she wanted to make, which is a shame in my opinion, because I think there was just so many ways in which this movie was unsuccessful. As much as I liked some of it, it fell really flat for me. And of course, I love the character, and I love Gal Gadot, and I love Patty Jenkins' previous work. I just feel like there was this decision made at some point, which was by setting it in 1984, we've got to do camp, and there's those campy elements. I think just doomed this movie, because if you compare it with Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman, they went all in with the World War I setting, like it was serious, and I didn't get the same thing here, and I felt it was just a little just too whimsical to take the serious part seriously. Thoughts?
I mean, I think that they tried. It was an experiment, and they tried to make a Wonder Woman movie that was, in a lot of ways, in the spirit of the '80s television show, and I think they really,
which was horrible, except for the first season.
It wasn't horrible. It wasn't horrible. Like, I mean, it was fun. It was, and I think they tried to recapture that spirit, and they probably thought they did, and I think just when it hit the market, it just fell flat.
Yeah, I think they were successful in recapturing the spirit, and that's why it was so bad. That's just me. Travis, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say I haven't seen it, so I got nothing to say.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you do, let us know, because I'd love to hear what you think about it.
I need to see the first Wonder Woman still. So.
Oh, dude, you need to see that, because that is a great film. That's a great film.
It's epic. Watch it tomorrow.
That's right. It felt epic, and this did not feel epic.
Exactly.
At all.
I mean, this movie it failed to capture some of that feel that the first one had. It's like they tried to force it to be like the first one and fell flat on her ass.
I don't think they were trying to force it to be like the first one at all. This did not feel like a failed epic. It felt like a failed premise.
Yeah, this was not.
Well, that's the thing. The first movie was epic.
Yeah.
This one was not.
Yeah.
Right, which created a sense of false expectations going into this movie.
They should have leaned more into the Cold War with this one. I think
I think so too. Epic. Yeah, I think so too, because there was certainly enough epic things going on in the mid '80s that to just make it sort of sugar coated candy balloon kind of.
Where was the '80s music?
Yeah, you already mentioned
my
that last
God.
week. You already talked about that.
The reality is that I think Thor Ragnarok had all the rights to all the '80s music.
Yeah.
God. Yeah. So I just feel like Wonder Woman was introduced as this epic character, and unfortunately that's a good question, Anthony. How did it rank? Oh, Iron Man 3 was way better than Wonder Woman 2.
No.
Really?
Iron Man movie was...
Iron Man 3?
Yeah, it was awful.
I liked Iron Man 3.
No, it wasn't. That was awful. That was the Iron Man
2
movie
was
without...
awful.
No. Iron Man 3 was the Iron Man movie without Iron Man.
Iron Man 3 was good. I love the Extremis story.
Yeah.
No, that was awful. It was awful. They took one of the best Marvel supervillains and made him a freaking paper mache villain.
No, they didn't.
They did.
They just turned it around. They flipped it on its head. No. The actor who they got to be the Mandarin to spread the fear. Yeah, he was a front. He was an image. But the real Mandarin, the person who was guiding the hand of everything around him, he was an excellent villain. Sympathetic, but sinister.
In his own way, yeah. I think I think what I liked
and then
about
in the end, where you had him fighting Tony, not just in one suit, but all his suits.
All the suits.
Come on, you can't tell me that wasn't epic.
No.
It was.
It was so bad.
I can't believe you're trying to defend Iron Man 2, which was clearly...
Hey, Iron Man 2 was good too.
It was okay. It was not as good as 1 and certainly not
I'm not saying Iron Man 2.
I'm happy with that.
I'm not saying Iron Man 2 was
you
like
can have it.
Was like Citizen Kane. Iron Man 2 delivered some really good scenes. Like Tony Tony's testimony on Capitol Hill. I mean, I watched that on YouTube just for the shits because it's such a great scene. Where he's like, oh, who's that? Oh, it's Justin. Yeah. And he walks down. Fuck you. Yeah, no, that was.
I just love watching him tell off senators.
No, yeah. I don't know what they're talking about.
You need to have Lane.
You're so
Iron Man
sheltered.
2 and 3.
You're sheltered. You poor soul. You poor soul.
That we have to go watch Iron Man 2 and 3.
Yes.
Yes. Now.
I don't want to go watch Iron Man.
No, you know what we should do? What we should do in our dearth of Star Trek for the next while, we should do a rewatch of the MCU.
I knew you were going to say that. What do you guys think?
I don't mind.
How many movies is that? 25?
Yeah, I mean, you know,
I wouldn't be.
And if we want to watch Star Trek, we all do an Amazon Prime watch party on Twitch or something. I mean,
well, but we can't.
Yeah, on Amazon Prime, you can.
They're not on Amazon Prime. They're on.
We could also do a watch party in Discord. It would just be us, but it wouldn't.
Right.
It wouldn't
Which
be.
is fine, but we need stuff for this show. So
yeah.
But that's okay. No, do a
we bring our
rewatch.
impressions afterwards.
Like
we can record our the live stuff and edit it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a possibility. I'd be open to that.
Like reactions, like live reactions or something like that.
Travis, what were you going to say?
I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, I thought you were starting to say something.
Yeah, you know, Travis is the one that doesn't watch anything apparently.
He watches things, but
I watch things. I just like.
He watches Lane. Well. That's about it. That seems to be about it. He watches Lane.
A lot of writing.
Well, no, and that's fine. But you should see the Iron Man ones just so you can tell.
Wet your palate, buddy.
Beard Fassé that he's wrong.
And trust me.
Okay, so yeah, let's run that idea past the rest of the folks in our chat.
Sean
over the next week and see what they say. I think Sean, he's into the MCU, so I think he would probably like.
I mean, like I'm down for like going through each of the films one at a time, like weekly or whatever. But I mean, like
that's I think what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Make up a top list or something like
because that gets us
see
through
which one ranks.
That gets us through half the year.
Yeah, it does actually.
Yeah.
If you think about it, if we start off at which would be the starting point? Would that be Hulk? Hulk 2000?
No, it's Iron Man.
It's Iron Man,
and then
Iron Man.
And then you could go to Hulk. You don't necessarily need to do Hulk.
Yeah, the Hulk movies are not canon.
They're kind of like standalone.
Yeah,
they are. No, they're not.
They're like you can't.
They're certainly the most
the Hulk, the Incredible
the Edward Norton Hulk movie is deuterocanical.
Is what?
What?
Deuterocanical. It's like the,
Deuteronomy.
No, what is it?
You mean apocryphal?
Yeah, it's also
no. I mean, I think it means like it's partly canonical.
He does mention breaking Harlem in Avengers.
Yeah, they refer to things that we saw in that movie, but the movie itself is not considered.
And we do eventually see Thunderbolt Ross again as the
of course.
Tech Death.
So some of the characters are canonical, of course, but the movie itself is not included in the MCU as we generally think of it. Hulk has never had his own movie.
I am irritated that we never got to see the one good elf actually portray a good role in the MCU ever again.
The one good elf.
Betsy, her actress.
Oh, what was her
We're
name?
approaching 3 hours.
I liked her.
Liv Tyler.
Oh, right. That's right.
Yeah.
It was Liv Tyler.
Yeah. All the Bait MCU villains were also Lord of the Rings elves. She's the only one who made an appearance.
I haven't seen Dark World, so
she's the only one who actually got to portray a good character who wasn't a bad guy.
Dark World is really good.
Wait. Which was the one where they're gladiators? That's not Dark World.
Oh, that
was Ragnarok.
Yeah. It's Ragnarok.
I was about to say, like, everybody hates Dark World.
Yeah, Dark World was bad. That was bad. I just got it mixed up with it.
Dark World wasn't bad.
It was bad, dude.
I couldn't finish watching
I haven't seen it officially. I just hear what everybody else says.
How is it bad?
It just is very meh, you know.
All right, but
Okay,
this is
meh
a
isn't
for when we
bad.
are forced to rewatch.
Yeah,
Dark
that's a
World.
good point. When we get around to that one, we can go into it in depth.
Well, you all
Let's,
have to be drunk to watch it.
Let's
Justin, make a slide. Meh isn't bad.
That is bad.
No, it's not.
Oh boy.
Okay. When if you think about
now
the
you
MCU,
guys are getting all epistemological on me.
right.
If it,
think about the
bad, if
MCU,
it
right?
pisses you off.
Listen. Think about the MCU, right? You have 26 movies. All of them are good at varying stages of good, right? Except for
Iron Man 2,
Dark World.
Dark World.
And Dark World is
Guys.
just meh.
Let's save it. Save it.
Yeah, let's save
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do the following. Let's run this past the rest of our folks in our chat this week, and let's also, I think it'd be a good idea to post the idea in the Super Geeks Facebook group and see what people think. Make sense?
Okie doke.
All right, let's do it around us first, and then we'll do it we'll do a post on the group. Okay, so a couple of things here. News-wise, we have a writer for the next Star Wars movie. The writer and producer of the Loki series, Michael Waldron, is going to be writing the next Star Wars movie. Which have they talked about where the setting is for that, or what's going on?
They're keeping it all very tight-lipped.
Yeah, so
For good reason.
yeah, so we haven't seen Loki yet, so we don't know if it's any good. But my guess is it probably is, if they're offering this guy the writing position. But I guess we'll see. Does anyone happen to know off the top of their heads when we're supposed to see Loki on Disney Plus?
No, it's to be determined.
Yeah, I know it's coming out soon or this year, as is WandaVision, which I want to see that because it's either going to be great or horrible.
May of 2021.
Oh, great! Thank you. That answers.
And the Falcon and Winter Soldier comes out in August.
I'm less enthused about that one.
I don't know. I think that's one I'm actually looking forward to the most. And I heard that was coming out in March.
Nope. Looking at it right now. Well, WandaVision's coming out in March.
Yeah, that's one. We'll see. Well, I'm certainly going to give him a chance. So, I just hope it's good. All right, let's go ahead and wind up for our episode with our traditional segment, What Are We Watching? Let's make this one quick since we're pushing 3 hours here, and let's start with The Silent Sun.
You're muted.
Sun.
You have to skip me for the moment, please.
Okay, we'll skip you for the moment. Let's go to Travis and Lane.
We didn't watch too much this week, but tonight, I don't know whether to be embarrassed or proud about this. We put on The Happy Time Murders.
Is that the one that was like basically Muppets that cuss?
It's a 2018 movie featuring like a blend of puppets and real life people. And I feel like the concept they had with this film was solid.
Mm-hmm.
But it is very much raunchy for the sake of being raunchy. Like, the story is very basic. It's a buddy cop comedy that has a lot of very predictable plot lines. The jokes are very much along the lines of like going for shock humor, or like, whoa, look, you wouldn't expect this kind of joke in like a kid's Muppet movie, would you? Look, this puppet's jizzing all over the place, and just like, don't. Like, I feel like there were times I was kind of chuckling, but the more I'm thinking about it, it's just like one of those like, I guess I'm glad I saw it. I don't think I'll ever see it again, which is a shame because, like, again, like, this could have been something pretty fun, but it
That was my thinking when they first announced it. I thought it could be fun, and then I heard exactly what you just said, and I was like, sorry. Meh.
Yeah, it's just.
Oh, that's for you, Ross.
This is not a Met is
Met
good.
is good.
This is not a Met is good circumstance. This was
Met is not bad.
Yeah, Met is not
It
bad.
is.
well, this movie is not good.
Okay.
Meh
Like,
is
it's not-
meh.
Okay. All right.
Well, it gets a thumbs down from me. Like,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Like, I don't do like the sideways thumbs. It's with me. I do a thumbs up, thumbs down. This is not a thumbs up movie.
You know what meh means? Meh means I didn't hate it. Like when someone says, so what did you think about it? Oh,
Really?
I didn't
This is what
hate
we're
it.
talking about? The meaning of meh?
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Outside of Happy Time Murders, I finished Animaniacs season. There you go.
Okay, there you go. A good list. All right. Eyebrows of Doom.
As I alluded to at the beginning, my week has been entirely consumed by awesome games done quick. A week-long marathon of video game speedrunners breaking video games by using exploits, glitches, and whatever other means possible to complete games as quickly as possible. They compete against each other and help each other overcome hurdles and obstacles within the game in order to reach new records on a daily basis. They also do challenges that are used as incentives to get more people to donate money, in this case, for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. And as of right now, let's see, the runner is playing Medieval, and they have raised almost $1.6 million for the Prevent Cancer Foundation.
Wow.
They reached $1 million last night during a run of, I believe it was Metal Gear and the Twin Snakes. Yeah, so it's an awesome event. They do it twice a year. I look forward to it. I love it. It consumes my life. My wife hates it.
Twin Snakes was the remastered version of Metal Gear Solid.
Yes. Yes. If you, I talked about it a bit during in chat today. A guy, one of the runners, did a 16-star run of Super Mario 64 blindfolded.
I remember you talked about that.
How is that
possible? How is that
Nope,
possible?
It is possible because he did it in 49 minutes.
Okay, did he basically just memorize the moves to make it through?
He memorized the moves, but he also coordinated and
muscle
timed it.
memory.
He timed it with the in-game music. He used the rhythm of the music to time out all of the different moves he has to make. Whenever he impacts something, he planned it all out. He practiced it exhaustively and then did it in front of an audience of what is currently, was probably more earlier today, 62,000 people.
Wow. Okay, that's impressive.
Yeah.
I'll give it impressive. All right. Well, thanks for letting us know about that one, and let's go to Stalwart Justin. Oh, was there something else?
Even if you don't watch, I do ask that you donate if you can. They're trying to do cancer research, and once again, cancer claimed our dear friend this time last year.
Yeah. Thank you.
And another one of our dear friends this year, Dave Lynch.
Yeah. They also have prizes, and there's a couple merchandising companies who send all of their profits from the merchandise for AGDQ to the Prevent Cancer Foundation as well. Amazon Prime subs also do work as well. So even if you don't use it,
okay.
if you don't use it, if you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Gaming, use that free sub. All the money goes to the Prevent Cancer Foundation.
All right.
And while we're on the subject of Twitch, while you're watching, I will be doing a speed run from Seoul to Beagle Point. Elite Dangerous coming up sometime this week. I don't know the exact day yet because this is a big trip to plan. In game wise,
I see your lips move, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
He's basically playing a space sim.
Yes. Okay, so Elite Dangerous is.
You don't have to go into
much,
detail.
okay.
That was mostly just a joke. I'm sure the people who need to know already know. So that was just me being DJ Harumph.
But anyways, it's right now, I think the record is 4 hours and 30 minutes to get from Sol to Beagle Point, which is the furthest end of the simulated galaxy. Yeah, it should be a pretty fun little ride.
All right.
Free time in 2021. Hey, gotta use it wisely.
Okay. Beer Frasse, did we start with you? Yes, we did.
No, we didn't.
Oh, we didn't. Ooh,
No, I haven't gone yet. So don't make fun of me.
We will.
You're gonna blame it on your wife anyway.
No. This is totally Jason's guilty pleasure. So I signed up for Peacock because, of course, The Office moved from Netflix.
And apparently, they're adding deleted scenes. And
they're taking
things.
Deleted scenes. It's amazing the amount of content they had, but I haven't been watching that's not what I'm going to talk about here. So there's another revival of a show on Peacock that I saw the premiere of.
You started watching Jag.
No, it's on CBS All Access. This is guiltier pleasure than that.
Babylon 5?
No guiltier pleasure than
Cheers.
that. The Saved by the Bell reboot.
Oh, God.
I've actually heard some good reviews of that, but I'm so not interested. I probably will give in and watch an episode. But still, shame, Cloud William.
You lost some cred for that.
But it's so like
average.
No, it's like so bad, but good.
Okay,
this is the perfect definition of a guilty pleasure. It's like imagine just like you just it's like yeah. It's so
it
cheesy.
Basically has rendered you incoherent.
Yeah.
Claude William.
We have Mac Morris, who is the son of Zach Morris.
Yeah.
Son. And it's like it's not like even like Zach Morris as you remember him. It's like the epitome of the Zach Morris's trash series is Zach Morris, and that is his son Mac. And all the other characters, Jesse and Slater, and we even get a little bit of Lisa. I mean, it's just like like I was 16 again.
Oh, okay.
Friends forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think it was very brave of you to say that. Good on you. Okay, son, are you ready this time?
This has not been very quick. Yeah. So I have to inform you, things are getting a little hairy around here. I think I need to leave soon.
Yeah.
There's a escape pod ready to go. I've been watching some Trek fan films that have been stuck around here in the ship on loop. Yeah, some creator named Collie or something has released some kind of
that's right.
lost footage.
Yeah.
And I've been watching those. And if I ever saw like a Captain Kirk thing on or a young Kirk thing on Strange New Worlds, that's probably how I'd want them to go.
Like they did in the name of the episode is Origins,
Mm-hmm.
which I think was written or at least partially written by David Gerald. It also has the on-screen debut of one Alec Peters, playing Garth, of course. I have only watched about half the episode. And again, just for folks at home, James Cawley, who was the producer of Star Trek New Voyages, released 2 of the episodes that were never completed for New Voyages. So one of them is basically has none of the VFX. The other one has some VFX but isn't fully edited. But a lot of people have been clamoring for years to see these. And James, for some reason, he's a perfectionist. I know, I've worked with him, and he does not release things unless they are perfect in his mind. And he, like George Lucas, will go back and fix things even after they've been released if they weren't too.
Well, I originally thought that this footage was supposedly lost. I thought we were never going to see it.
No, it wasn't lost. It wasn't really edited. And with no VFX, sometimes some of those scenes fall really flat.
It wasn't
anyway,
lost. It just wasn't for public consumption.
Right. Yeah.
But
so, what do you think?
I enjoyed. Oh, good God! What was the other one?
Torment of Destiny.
Torment of Destiny.
A horrible title, but
I actually enjoyed that more than I did Origins.
Yeah.
And then I come to find out Origins has a part 2 that I haven't seen yet, so I've got to go back and watch that.
Yeah, Origins is an interesting episode. It was originally called The Protracted Man. And
that's right.
Yeah, and I think the point of the story, and at least from what I've seen, that part of it is still there. Cadet James Kirk's father was on the Enterprise. I think he was the XO, and something happens to him. He's folded in space, or something.
They're studying a white hole.
Right.
And a flare knocks his tractor beam his teleportation that beam. It interrupts it.
Yeah, and to get him back, they
have to integrate him
DNA.
with Kirk.
Yeah. So there you have it. But that's all I've watched up to that point where they explain what they're about the weapon and stuff too. So thanks for bringing that up, because that was actually kind of a big deal this week that those two were released. Okay. Let's see. I think we've got everyone else. Yes. For me, this week, so I watched this thing, and as you guys know, I do not play video games very much.
Obviously.
Clearly. But I got this thing on Netflix about this show, which originally was a web series, I guess, from the Philippines called Game Boy's Level Up Edition. And it's about these two Philippine boys.
Wait.
What?
I'm sorry. I know this is supposed to be a thing about video games, but you put Philippine boys and it's a video. There's something else running through my mind.
Well, that's part of it too, actually. One of them is in love with the other, and the other one is like totally in denial, but also sort of attracted. But you should watch at least one episode. They're very short, because just the way they integrate the games and gaming and like on what you see on screen, they really try to replicate, what y'all do on with one another on these things, and it's actually
what we do with one another.
Yeah. So, I enjoyed it. I think they did a good job with it.
All right.
I bet you did.
Anyway, I've only watched, I think, three episodes. But it's a big deal, actually, for a web series to be picked up by Netflix like this. So, and it's really cool because it's subtitled, obviously, but because Filipinos really speak this kind of hodgepodge of Tagalog, English, and Spanish, and probably other things in there, but that you can understand about half of I understand about half what they say because I know English and Spanish. I don't know Tagalog, so those things are lost to me. But it's otherwise subtitled, and it's cool to see the translations of some of the Filipino slang into English, and it was just fascinating from that kind of linguistic perspective. So that was my guilty pleasure of the week. The second one I thought might be a guilty pleasure, but I think is actually quite good, and that is Bridgerton. That is the series set in, I'm not quite sure which era. It's not Victorian. It's in England, and it's all about high society and how families try to marry off their daughters to move up socially, to move the whole family up socially, and there's lots of intrigue and gossip, and it comes out of Shondaland. Shonda Rhimes produced this, and so you have black actors playing what would often be white roles in if this was a replication of these kinds of drawing room drama / comedies, and casting black actors in some of these roles actually livens this up in a great way that makes it fun to watch. And the Queen herself, Queen Charlotte, is a black actress, and she is amazing, like funny, and she's the best Queen I've seen. I mean, even better than the Queen in the other Netflix series. She has huge hair, like done up like kind of French, and but in different way every scene. And it's a lot of fun. I don't know if any of the rest of you are watching Bridgerton, but I would recommend it. It's apparently doing really well on Netflix. It's in their top 10 internationally. So I was a little hesitant at first, but I thought I'll give it an episode, and it kind of hooked me in the first episode, for sure by the third. So
all right,
for me, in addition to the regular stuff like The Expanse and Discovery and so forth. So okay, I think that's everyone. Thank you all once again for your wit and wisdom for the week. Lane, thank you for being here again and getting Travis to behave.
I've made it to the escape pod. I'm
Oh,
out.
thank God! Are you gonna be out before Florida Main?
Oh no! I'm still here. I'm still transmitting.
Okay,
I'm just
good.
in the escape pod.
All right, great. That actually is a cool looking escape pod. I'm just saying.
Yeah. What's weird? The ship was called the Event Horizon, but this escape pod says Heart of Gold.
Uh-oh.
Not sure what to make of that, but let's go ahead and formally sign off for the Super Geeks podcast. Folks at home, thank you for joining us this week. We will be back next Friday, the 15th of January.
With something. We don't know what. What's
We
something?
don't know what, but we'll have stuff to talk about.
Oh,
as
we
always
definitely
do.
will.
Yes.
Now
So
that we
let us
actually have
know.
time, I can actually look for stuff again.
Yeah, and let us know what you think about the MCU movie rewatch idea that we have. We'd love to hear what you think of doing that if you'd be interested in watching this.
I mean, or we can
Opine
pick another
about-
long form series. That's something that we can all watch.
We'll talk about that later because we need to wind this up and get to Florida Man. So for folks at home, if you want to stick around for a little bit after the formal close of the Super Geeks podcast, we always have our weekly segment, Florida Man, in which we exchange bizarre Florida Man stories that we find on the internet for that week. Stick around if you're interested in that. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay, Cloud William, which Funko Pop things?
I was waiting for the Blue Oyster music.
Oh, right. Yeah, Justin, play us out, Internet Cat. Keyboard Cat.
I am.
We can't hear it.
Oh, can't hear
Well,
it.
then that gives me enough time to say, and remember, you are loved and appreciated by just your being you.
That's
Spay
right,
your
you
pets.
Black
are.
alert.
Say
I'm
spay
outta
your
here.
pets. All right, thanks, Travis. And Lane.
Oh, I think I've got it fixed now.
Okay, play us out, Keyboard Cat.
Come on. Okay, there we go. Hopefully that now has the bloody thing fixed because I don't know. Soundboard.
I want to see what Jason is going to do with these Funko Pops.
Did I fix it?
He's going to make them
Nope.
kiss, and no, we don't hear anything.
They could be the Game Boys of Funko Pop.
Okay, you know what? We're going to do this. Audio and voice mod. And then I am going to go to... this is like, I don't know.
I thought we'd work this out Monday.
Now we can't hear you, Justin.
We're losing him.
No! Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Can you hear me
yes,
now?
we hear you.
Yes. we
Okay,
can hear you now.
it's fixed. It's fixed. It's fixed. Let's try this again.
Okay, play us out, Keyboard Cat. Thank you. Is that Superman and Lois Lane?
No, it's Superman Happy Kurt.
Oh. All right. Thank you, Justin, for getting that.
Sorry.
Found. It is our tradition. Okay, so we are here for Florida Man for this week, and what a week it has been. I want to thank all of you for your perspectives in our chat this week as we've suffered through a very strange week politically.
A lot of bullshit.
And
so much bullshit.
And in that vein, I'm going to throw out the first Florida Man story, which is that the guy who stole Nancy Pelosi's lectern is a Florida man.
Dumbass Florida man. Ooh, okay. While we're on this subject,
wait.
I want to be a dumbass and break into Nancy Pelosi's office and steal her fucking podium and pose for a fucking picture. Florida.
This gets even worse for the not Florida people that live on Twitter, because those people on Twitter thought this guy's name was via Getty because the image itself came from Getty Images.
Oh, that's great. So much so that they actually had to put out clarification that the guy's name was not via Getty.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm sharing. I'm hoping it's showing up. Are you guys seeing?
Let's just appreciate that the guys at Getty are so quick at buying up images.
Are they buying images though?
I think
they are. They're supposed to be. They're supposed to be.
It seems more.
So
like
that's the dude. That's the Florida man. He's a father of 5, I think. But that's him stealing the lectern from the House of Representatives.
Well, I hope the kids have somebody a little bit more stable.
Look though. Look at the smile on his face. He doesn't give a shit.
Not now.
I don't think he's going to give a shit if he gets jail time either.
When the FBI come knocking at his house, he's going to give a shit.
They'll
the FBI have a whole hell of a lot more worries than just a lectern at this point.
No,
they're going after everyone who's identified.
Yeah.
And this guy has been identified, so they will probably be visiting him.
I don't doubt that they'll be visiting him. I just think it would be a higher priority to find out whoever has her laptop. Thank you.
Yeah, that's.
Did someone? Oh, I hadn't heard that. Someone took the laptop.
They actually took her laptop.
Oh, I had not heard that. Wow.
What about the people? What about the people who planted bombs that we haven't heard much about?
Yeah, we haven't heard much about that at all. There's so much about this guys that is just so sketchy that it had to have been planned in Florida. That was how I segued into that. But anyway, because how do these people?
Florida man.
How do they know where Nancy Pelosi's office is? If any of you have been to the Capitol, there's 6 buildings outside the Capitol that have all the offices and so forth, and it's hard unless you know where her office is. This
is what all the there are people on the left and the right going, all of this shit is sketchy as fuck in the first place.
Yeah.
Because how did they know how to get straight to her office from wherever the hell they broke in? And you had some people who were actually breaking in, and you had some people who were being let in.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, before we go too much from Florida man, before we get into another topic.
Were you going to say something?
No, I mean, let's not dwell too much from Florida man so we don't get into another topic.
Oh, I don't have any other
because it's already 3.5 hours.
There are no really other Florida man topics.
I have one. Florida man uses skull stolen from cemetery and other human remains in religious shrine.
God, Florida's really dark this week.
Florida man jailed after snoring loudly at McDonald's.
Okay, that one's not bad.
And it turns out, by the way, that there were 3 Florida men charged after the Trump mob at the U.S. Capitol. So apparently it's
more outside.
Wait, I found one better than the sleeping, snoring Florida man that got arrested.
Oh, sorry. Update: 6 Florida men linked to U.S. Capitol siege.
Florida man calls 911 about McDonald's order and says he has cocaine in his butt.
the best.
I can Florida man, and I can actually see that Florida. Somebody from Florida having an issue.
I like any story that gets son saying the word "but." It's just
good lord,
perfect.
Carlos, you just like it when stuff comes out of butts.
Not really.
No,
Not
he
a
just
fun
likes
thing.
stuff in butt.
Oh, look, I killed Jason.
Sorry, Jason. Let's see what.
It's the butt of the joke.
Florida man accused of setting his own truck on fire to give deputies something to do.
Well, that's not very butt funny.
Here's a great one. Central Florida man who took bus to the U.S. Capitol says he was disappointed.
Florida man.
Oh, here's a good one. Florida man rides airboat on neighborhood streets, deputies say. You know, one of those airboats from the Everglades.
There's more to that story. Threatens to kill deputies.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Florida man.
See, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? After the holidays, all hell breaks loose in Florida.
In for a penny, in for a pound, I guess.
I mean, apparently it's really spilled out of Florida too, because it looks like the majority of people come from Florida.
Florida woman accused of screaming political profanities and ringing a bell at 5 a.m. each day.
Oh my God. Florida man, teacher / pastor arrested for dry humping coworker.
Oi!
Oh, wow. Florida man.
I can feel the power of Christ inside you.
God. What porno is that one from, Ross?
It's the one that goes on in my head.
Funko Pops, Claude William.
They were busy.
They were getting busy.
I'm looking for Florida stories. I can't find any. I mean, the perfect Florida man story is Florida man rally to invade Capitol building.
Yeah,
he's a fake Florida man.
This is a retread.
They're all fake Florida men. Just saying.
This is an old story getting new light from 1985. Intoxicated Florida man killed after jumping off a boat to fight a group of alligators.
Didn't we talk about that one last week?
That happens every week in Florida, Ross. Florida. You always got some idiots going off.
The only thing more common than idiots in Florida are alligators.
And idiots.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because idiots and alligators apparently make a wonderful combination in Florida.
So here is one also related to the Capitol. A man from Fort Walton Beach, Florida, says no one in our group breached the building.
Exterminate!
So there were probably several 100,000 people there for the rally, and only maybe a few thousand breached the Capitol.
It doesn't make it better because there's still plenty of them on the stairs.
Yeah, there was plenty outside.
No, but no. I mean, it wasn't the entire group that went down to the Capitol. It was a subset of the larger group that went down to the Capitol.
I would hope so.
Yeah,
That's
the part.
Understand.
That's the part that's not being really reported. I know people that were there. They had no idea the Capitol was going on when it was going on because they were still at the Ellipse with a lot of other people.
Yeah, there was a whole group that started leaving the Trump rally before he even finished talking.
Yeah, so I think and so this is one of the reasons why Parler is getting banned from the Google Play Store. There's definitely an organized element.
Yeah.
There. I mean, you had guys with flex cuffs So they were definitely trying to.
They intended on taking hostages.
Right. So you definitely know they were trying to do something
Well,
a lot more. You know, and the one thing I said on the chat or in our chat that I think is a testament. Yeah, I know everyone's talking about the Capitol Police response. Nobody was taken hostage, right? Nobody, not a high value target. Like when you think of it like a high value, and I hate to phrase them that way, but like a congressman, a senator, a senior aide. No, there weren't any responses getting them out of the building, getting them to safety.
Yeah, they definitely did that part very well.
And to be completely honest, at the end of the day, that's far more important than keeping people out of the Capitol, in my opinion, and trying to keep people out.
It is more important, but symbolically.
I mean, I'm sure things are going to come out within the next few days and paint a better light of what exactly fuck actually happened that allowed for such a lapse to go down. I mean, heads are going to roll over this. It's just getting started.
Rolled. The President Arms of the Senate has resigned. The chief of the Capitol Police has resigned.
Yeah, but they're bigger. If that's all that happens, I will be very disappointed.
People are going to go to. I mean,
Carlos, because prepare to be disappointed, Carlos, because that's typically what happens in any sort of politics shit.
I agree, except this is not a typical politics shit. This is a
something that's ever happened in the U.S. Nothing to this scale at all. We have never had
that. Not necessarily
true. There was a breach of the Capitol in the 50s over Puerto Rican independence.
Not even that. There was the occupation of one of the 6 buildings you were talking about over the Kavanaugh hearing.
Yeah, that was one of the office buildings.
Yeah, that was an office building. I mean, that was not the U.S. Capitol when we were not having people going in and stealing Nancy Pelosi's podium and desk and, on the Senate floor taking podiums. And
I didn't say to the extent.
Yeah, I mean, this is completely unprecedented.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to the reality is what they were trying to stop was the certification of the Electoral College.
And speaking of which, we need to give praise to the 2 young staffers that thought quickly to grab the electoral ballots and get them the hell out of there before someone could.
Yeah, and that continued anyway. Like no matter what, like I know a lot of people felt a certain way about the events, and I think there's justification in feeling. But at the end of the day, our democracy isn't a building. Our democracy isn't a set of offices. Our democracy isn't, and as bad as Wednesday was, it was also very good in that it really highlighted the resiliency of our democracy.
The worst part is these fuckwits couldn't wait.
For what?
Because if they had actually waited, they would have gotten their hearing out. That was the whole point of Ted Cruz and all of those others having their objection.
Well, there are 2 different agendas here. One was Ted Cruz's agenda, and one was the agenda of these, rioters. For them, interrupting those proceedings was not for show. It was for Ted Cruz. For him, it was totally for show. They were serious about wanting Trump declared president. So that's a big difference.
I think this might be a possible thing. Like we watch development, if we need to, we might do a sideshow on it sometime. Because I think this is a topic that should be a separate Super Geek show.
Well, I don't think there's as much Florida news as we.
I don't think that they were separate agendas, Carlos.
See, I think they were, because Ted Cruz knows, Josh Hawley knows, these are smart men. They went to Harvard and Yale and Oxford, and they're both constitutional lawyers. They know that it was all for show. They know it. They knew it was going to go nowhere. They were pandering to these people who have a different expectation for what they wanted to happen.
Right, but it's still
what they wanted to happen was for Donald Trump to continue being president.
Yes,
Right.
but you still have a large subsection of the population that thought that their vote didn't matter, that there was meddling that went on, and that at most steps of this, the merits for that meddling weren't even heard. Because the cases that have been brought up have mostly been thrown out on procedure.
Okay, we don't need to get into all that. Let's not.
Many of them have, but not all of them. Not all of them.
Can we?
And the electoral objection of Cruz and Hawley were to hear that evidence.
But they didn't present any of that evidence.
Because they didn't get a chance to.
Yes,
they
they
did.
did. Yes, they did.
The hearing still happened. The objection still happened.
They had their chance. They did not produce any evidence.
They still objected to Arizona, and they still objected to Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
And realistically, listen, there are people on both sides who say that kind of the way the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania handled things was kind of shady as fuck at the end there, getting through to the mail-in ballots and everything. But at most, the only ballots that those decisions would have impacted would have been 10,000 ballots. Biden still would have won Pennsylvania, and he still would have won the presidency. So at some point, the objections become, as Carlos pointed out, more or less for show, for the theater of acting like you're fighting, not really fighting, because even if you got your way, you wouldn't be able to object to enough votes to disenfranchise the rest of the voters in the state. And all this did, and all their actions did, was inflame an already volatile situation and bring justification, more mainstream justification, to an already volatile situation. Hawley and Cruz are far more mainstream Republicans than Trump is, and they, for whatever reason, decided to play to his base to feed his ego.
Well, for whatever reason, is both of them are interested in running for president in 2024.
Yeah.
It's not a mystery.
And they both scuttled that pretty bad.
Well, we don't know, actually. I would like to think that's true.
A lot of things can happen in 4 years.
Well, and plus, it may have resonated with the base. So we don't know if it was successful, but I just think it was a mistake if they thought, well, they obviously, none of them expected the capital to be reached, but
be nice, Justin.
What?
You're fiddling with the mic and we can all hear it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Anyway,
I don't understand this Florida man story.
Which one?
Florida man serving time for murder fools California into paying him more than $10,000 in coronavirus unemployment benefits. More than 2,000 other Florida men and women serving time do the same thing.
Huh. Well,
Florida man plays system.
Yeah, Florida
system played. I'm failing all over the place. Sorry, I am just tired. Florida man.
All right.
Perhaps it's time to call it then.
Let's wrap it up.
I think so. All right.
For the love of God.
Thanks again. I'm sure there will be more Florida man stories, actual Florida man stories next week.
We'll get some good ones, because these are kind of on the man side.
They're fine. Okay.
So, Florida man and charter school dean and wife arrested after providing teen babysitter marijuana and alcohol while going out.
There it is. Florida man.
Florida man.
There's a vegan butcher called the Very Good Butchers. Ron Swanson would take very serious objection to that name.
I mean, how do you? Isn't that an oxymoron?
Exactly. But in the last season of Parks and Rec, his construction company was Very Good Construction Company.
Oh, that's very good.
Well,
right.
if we're if we're going to call it, there is one thing I would like to relate that I posted on Wednesday that I believe deserves to be shared.
Mm.
We are supposed to have different opinions. We're meant to disagree, and we need to differ in order to have a healthy and growing society.
Mm-hmm.
But it only works if we have mutual respect for one another. Personally, I try very hard, and that's why I avoid the unfollow me if X mindset. Everyone deserves the opportunity to learn from their mistakes. If you treat others with respect, you're welcome here. If you disagree and present your arguments reasonably, you're welcome here. If you're open to discussion and informed debate, you are welcome here. And most importantly, if you once held beliefs that you now feel are wrong but are too embarrassed to admit it, you are welcome here.
Well put. Thank you, Ross.
And with that, I say good night.
Good night.
It's how we survive.
Get back to punch the faces.
I will survive.
There you go. Play us out.